New Orleans man is in jail charged with murdering a man after a dispute over cutting in line at a gas station in Metairie. WWL's Chris Miller reports the sheriff says the accused shooter is the one who skipped ahead in the gas line.
Sound check. Like
Jefferson Parish Sheriff Joe Lapinto says
Hello.
that did not happen Friday at a Chevron station on Clearview Parkway. He says when 20-year-old Walter Scipio cut in line, he was confronted by another man. The argument escalated, and the sheriff says it ended when Scipio shot and killed 36-year-old Dwayne Nosaka. He says it's a pointless waste of life.
If you need to go get gas, be patient, wait in line like everybody else.
The sheriff says they've had a few disputes, but none
Sound
this
check.
violent, but said it shouldn't happen at all if people would just
Sound
act
check.
like grown-ups.
Hello, hello.
20-year-old Scipio turned himself into Jefferson Parish Sheriff's in Metairie. Gasoline is still the commodity everybody is after. WWL's Kevin Gallagher has this update on efforts to keep stations topped off.
First and foremost,
Hello, sound check.
Get too few gas stations with power on, so you can get.
Hey, Sean,
gas.
you got me?
Entergy says that should improve over the weekend, but other stations are running out of gas. Exxon Baton Rouge spokesperson Stephanie Cargile says there's plenty of gas at their terminal. The problem's getting it delivered. She says they have thousands of barrels of gas readily available, and they're doing what they can to get you your fuel.
We're working with our distributors to get other states to send us more trucks to help with this issue.
Kevin Gallagher, WWL First News.
Well, plenty of people have had it with the wait to get their power back on.
Doug, you there?
Yeah. How's sound check? How do I sound?
In the holiday
Sound perfect.
Okay, good.
Many of them are getting
Maybe a little bit louder.
Okay, louder is input or return.
There are many people here at the airport.
Better, better. Hello.
That's good.
Okay, good. Okay.
Passengers off for departure
All right.
out of New Orleans. A handful of
I'm going to have a guest maybe at 1. I may bring him on sooner, just depending on how it goes. He's a claims adjuster.
Some tell me they're never coming back. Others say they just need to get away.
No power and gasoline shortages seem to be the biggest problems for most people right now. This, according to Mike Steele in the
Is this Sean or is this Jordan?
Once that gets resolved,
Sean and Jammer.
Short. Oh, Jammer. All right. Hey, you guys, you want to do some bumper music on some of the breaks for LSU? Get them fired up?
Entergy expects most of New Orleans and Jefferson Parish to be restored.
Need to find that. Hold on.
Yeah, I mean, just, later in the show as we get further on.
Before harder hit areas,
I think it'd be fun.
Terrebonne Parish
I get weepy when I hear the LSU fight song.
The disaster zone shows him the importance of oil and gas, even as Mr. Biden urges a shift to less polluting sources.
He did say the importance of the oil and gas industry to the United States, which I was happy to hear that.
Dove says solar and wind aren't as reliable as things like propane and natural gas, diesel, or gasoline when you need backup generators.
CBS News Brief. There are concerns about COVID-19, but that's not stopping people from flocking to places like Provincetown for end-of-summer celebrations. Dr. Robert Klugman is at UMass Memorial Medical Center.
I think it's a beautiful weekend. People can be out. The out of doors is perfect because the air is circulating. The virus is not going to pool and collect in out of doors.
Oh, come on.
The cleanup from Hurricane Ida continues as the death toll from the storm rises to 62.
Okay.
In Louisiana, Jefferson Parish, President Cynthia Sheng.
I got vibes up too, so I can see this. I can see the text.
The storms are increasing, coming at us at a faster pace. We didn't even have time to get all of our people out. We were concerned that people.
Sean Jammer, you guys can jump in for clarification, or if there's something I need to know on air, y'all can let me know.
I'll whisper in your ear.
Okay.
Hundreds of thousands are still without power. CBS News Brief. I'm Allison Keys.
Do we have anybody on the phone yet?
WWL Sports.
It's a
we do not.
Okay,
for
gotcha.
the LSU Tiger football team. The Tigers will take on the UCLA Bruins offense, coached by offensive guru Chip Kelly. The Bruins put up 31 points just in the first half last week in their win against Hawaii, and now they face an LSU defense that's prone to giving up the big play defensively just last season. LSU head coach Ed Ogeron talked about what his defense needs to do in order to come out the Rose Bowl with a victory.
What I want to do is take care of what we can take care of. Eliminate the big play, the explosive plays, eliminate the middle errors, and play defense. Run through the football and tackle and make them earn it.
Kickoff in Pasadena is set for 7:30 p.m., and you can hear that game right here on WWL. The LSU Tigers aren't the only big game today, as we have a couple top 25 matchups on deck. 19th ranked Penn State takes on Wisconsin to start things off. Then at 2:30, it's the defending champions, the Alabama Crimson Tide. They take on the 14th ranked Miami Hurricanes. And then we finish it off with the 5th ranked Georgia Bulldogs taking on the number 3 Clemson Tigers at 6:30. Tim Zimmer, WWL Sports.
Now, your Garcia Roofing forecast on WWL.
Not a bad weekend across southeast Louisiana. Dry air over the area. That's going to keep our humidity values tolerable today and also tomorrow. Still going to be hot. My forecast high in the lower 90s under mostly sunny conditions. Now, heat advisory will be in effect today, so many areas will feel like 101, 102 degrees. So make sure you're continuing to practice heat safety, drinking plenty of water while you're outside. A few stray showers are possible, but many of us will remain pretty dry throughout the day. Tomorrow, another sunny day and hot. Temperatures once again climbing to the lower 90s, and that dry air is expected to remain over the area, keeping our deep can't rule out a stray shower
Excuse me.
throughout the rest of the afternoon. From your local weather expert forecast center, I'm WWL TV meteorologist Michelle Morgan.
Sunny skies, 88 degrees south of the lake, 89 degrees under sunny skies on the North Shore. I'm Tom Perumian, WWL First News.
On WWLAMFM.com and the Odyssey app, Louisiana's official emergency management station, it's continuing coverage of the aftermath of Ida. Live from our Jefferson Financial Federal Credit Union studios. Also on Magic 101.9, Bayou 95.7, and B97. Connect now on the Oakland Heart Jewelers Talk. 504-260-1870. Back to Team WWL.
Hey, good afternoon. Doug Sunseri, host on Sunday mornings of All Things Legal. We're going to be on from noon to 3 o'clock. I have Jordan and Jammer helping me on Master Control. Appreciate the help. And we're going to talk about hurricane insurance claims. And this is a huge issue, and it's very important to know what you need to do in order to maximize your claim. Because it's very important, especially at this stage, that we want everybody to get back on their feet. We want everybody to maximize their benefits from their insurance claim and utilize all the possible coverages that they have paid for the last 16 years and avail themselves to it so that you can get the money in to rebuild and, return to normal life or maybe even enhance it. So you can call me with any insurance question. We're going to have Kevin Manali, who is our adjuster we use for in the last 16 years for Hurricane Katrina claims, and he's probably done about 1,500 to 2,000 estimates for us, and he has a lot of experience on how to deal with the insurance companies and the claims process. And just a little quick about me. I've been hosting All Things Legal for the last 13 years on Sunday mornings from 8 to 10. A lot of listeners, maybe who don't tune in on Sunday morning, maybe are hearing me for the first time. And just a quick background is that when I was out of law school, I had another life in professional sports, working with John Meekum, the first owner of the Saints, Mr. Tom Benson, also as a sports agent for 10 years, and also worked in college and professional sports in different capacities and licensing and a bunch of other capacities. In fact, we were in the same lawsuit with Bobby Hebert when we were representing John Forcade when they had the NFL strike. And just as an aside, there's only two people who've ever beaten the NFL up until the 1990s, and that was Al Davis and Bobby Hebert. So I know Bobby will refer to it every once in a while, but he's in pretty good company. Also, we have a general practice that we've had since 1990. And we just, do business, estate, and family practice. But in 2005, when my association with WWL started, I was requested to appear every Monday night on WDSU with Norman Robinson, and we did segments on Hurricane Katrina for 2 years. And then, long story short, Emil Goche, my phenomenal account rep, basically asked me to come in and audition for a show about 14 years ago. Things went well, and I've been here since. So we have done prosecuted 2,000, I'd say over 2,000 Hurricane Katrina claims, Hurricane Gustav claims, Hurricane Rita claims, and Isaac claims. And we also did the Baton Rouge flood from 2016. So we're battle tested. We've encountered every situation, and I think we could use this information today to help you guys with your insurance questions. Before we go to Doreen, I just do want to say something about the station. I want to say that the work of WWL, the Intercom, the last week has been phenomenal. And I want to congratulate Tommy, who's Newell, Scoot, Christian, Dave, Ian, Diane, Sean, Jordan, Jammer, and Don, Dubuque, and Paul LaGrange for all the great information. Y'all have been a lifeline to so many people, and just thank you guys. So let's go to the phone lines. Let's go to Doreen. Hey, Doreen, you got a question for us?
Hey, yes, I have a question for you, and thanks for being there for us all sitting in the dark to have a glimmer of hope. Well, here's my question for you. I have a mobile home park.
Yes, ma'am.
The electrical poles that run along the backside of the park, they broke as a result. Holding the electrical lines, obviously, from Entergy broke.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result, it took out more than half of the single, electrical services to each one of the mobile homes.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously I'm not supposed to disconnect any of that because nobody wants to get electrocuted, or hopefully there's no power left in the line. But I don't know if it's something that I need to try to go through an insurance company for, or if it's something that Entergy is responsible for, if it's just an act of God, or where do I go from here?
Okay.
And additionally, I'd like to get those lines disconnected so that if we have to start building poles, that by the time Entergy comes to us, that maybe we'll be able to, hurry up and get these poles set up again so people can actually get power.
Okay, let me ask you, I guess, I hear your objective, but you live in the mobile home, is that correct?
No,
No.
I own the mobile home.
You own the mobile home. Okay, you own it. Is someone else living there?
Well, it's a park, but I own the park, and it has a bunch of individual trailers.
Okay, so you own the park, and so you're a landlord for these trailers. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And what you want is to have these poles de-energized or fixed in order to protect your tenants and everybody else around there. Is that correct? Or what?
Correct.
Okay. So how to go about doing that? Is that your question?
That's my question. Yeah.
Okay. Is that an Entergy location? Or is that a?
Yes.
Okay. You're going to have to be the squeaky wheel. Okay. You're just going to have to call Entergy. Now, here's one suggestion I have. If you see an Entergy lineman, I would go over to him and ask if you could have a minute with him. And ask him and say, look, this is my problem. What do you suggest for me to do? That would be one way, because to maybe bypass some of the automated calls you would have to make. In other words, he may have a supervisor that he could have a cell phone number for, or he could have some type of information that will get you from point A to point B a lot quicker. So if you see a lineman, just ask them, thank them first of all. My gosh, they have done a phenomenal job in getting this region lit up as quick as it has. Thank them first and say, look, I just have a minute. I have a little problem. Could you help me with it? And then you ask him, tell him your problem. What do you suggest I do? Who should I call? He may have a phone number that would bypass the normal automated system to sort of get you to the top. That would be my yes, ma'am.
And yesterday we were
Next call is Bobby
with one of the contractors for Entergy. He was here from Kansas, and he was walking past, and I relayed the problem, and he said, no, he said, you're going to have to call Entergy and see if they have a design department, which we did try to call Entergy, and they kind of put us on the list. Hey, okay, well, they need to get some power disconnected, but I know we're in a hard hit area right here, and I'm sure that it's going to take some time, but is it Entergy's responsibility, since it was Entergy's poles that broke, that pulled all our other poles out of the ground, or is it, you know what I'm saying? I guess that's from the insurance side point of view. Whose responsibility is it to take care of all that?
Well, I think it's ultimately energy. I don't think it's the insurance per se, because the insurance companies insure the mobile homes. Now, if the pole hit the mobile homes, they would have a claim for that, whoever's the insured on the policy. So I think the insurance issue is not quite as important as to identifying the department that can address your problem. Now, here's the other thing I would do is maybe put out a sign to keep your tenants safe, to say, stay away, and, live wires, so that you can give them some awareness and protect your tenants. So what I would do maybe is post some signs, or, even go to each trailer if they're still there. I don't know if there's anybody there. They may be.
Oh, well, we have several people that have stayed behind, and everybody knows the situation because they see all the broken poles along the back. So they know that nobody has any power until those lines are disconnected and those poles are reestablished in the ground again.
Okay. There's only one person that could, or one entity that can fix this pole, and it's Entergy. Unfortunately, you're going to be on their timeline. Now, what you can do is maybe call once or twice a day and be a squeaky wheel and keep that on the forefront. That's all you can do. Also, the other thing you can do is help mitigate the hazard to your tenants. And the way you would do that is inform them, saying, look, I've got, if you see them person to person, say, I've called Energy. I'm trying to get them out here to deactivate this or fix, or get it up again. But in the meantime, could you please stay away from these lines? Make sure your kids stay away from these lines. And if you see anybody else near those lines, tell them to stay away. Also, what you could do is even put a sign. Keep away, live wires, dangerous, deadly.
Okay.
And I would do that to protect your tenants. I wouldn't worry about the insurance issue. I don't think it applies anywhere. Okay.
Okay. Well, and believe me, my tenants are they're on my forefront of my mind because everybody's hot, everybody's frustrated, everybody's, waiting for that day when the power comes on. And if I can do my part to try to get it close enough so when Entity does come through, that they can say, hey, we're ready to connect, believe me, I think it'll make everybody a lot happier.
Yeah,
I will do that.
Yeah, and I think you're doing your part by getting the good information you can to help mitigate this potential hazard for your tenants.
Okay, well, then I'll continue calling. I'll be that squeaky wheel, and I'll call Entergy every day. And Entergy, if you're listening, be prepared, because I'm out here in St. Parish, St. Rose, and I will be contacting you every day.
The squeaky wheel is something you have to do in these situations with insurance company, with FEMA, with your mortgage company, and everyone you're dealing with. Be polite, respectful, but persistent. And that's what that'll help you get from point A to point B in the way you need to. Doreen, God bless you. You sound like a great landlord, and God bless you and your family, and I'm glad you're safe. Thanks for the call. All right, let's go to Bobby. What you got for us, Bobby?
Good morning. You big help to everybody out here that needs help.
Oh, thank you. That's very, very kind of you.
I have a situation.
Maggie and Ed are next.
On a property that's about 20 feet from the fence. My fence, it's growing out of her yard. But it's a massive oak tree, and I've been dealing with it for years. And now with this last Cat 4 that came through here, the way the wind was blowing and all, they got so much of her tree that really hanging over on my side of the property, and the neighbor to the left of her is hanging over. It looks like one of them trees like in City Park, It's a beautiful oak tree. I like the tree, but I can see where the way the wind was blowing all night. If it would have came over, it would have came over on my side. I had talked to her about it, and she said, "Well, trim it," and I have been. I've been trimming as time goes on, trimming it, but the tree is so tall and out of hand now that it's really. I think it really needs like an arborist to cut it to where. If I would trim everything that's hanging on my side, the tree would be so unbalanced that they would say, well, you trimmed the tree and that fell on my property.
Let me ask you, has the tree fallen down? Is it out? Is it down or is it still up?
No,
It's still up.
It's still up. Yeah.
And it's hanging over. All right, legally, yes, sir.
No, go ahead.
And are the roots on the neighbor's property only?
Yeah.
Okay.
Trunk and well, the roots might be running underground, but it's like a double tree grown into one, and it kind of forks off.
Yeah.
And it's all on her property, all on the other side of the fence. And but what got me when she bought the house, I got a letter from the insurance company from the previous owner saying that I had to trim my tree, which was on the other side of the fence. Mm-hmm. They deemed that tree to be unsafe, and that I had to cut the tree down.
Yeah.
So I got the tree cut down. That was my tree. It was on my side of the fence. And now, from a couple of stories that I heard, it's kind of weird. Well, I got to take care of the tree on my side of the fence, but they don't have to take care of the tree on their side.
No, well, I think there's two ways of dealing with it. There's the legal solution, but there's a practical solution, which are always better than the legal solution. Because when you go to a legal situation, the winner is whoever loses the least normally. So what you want to do is sort of do a collaboration with your neighbor and say, look, we got a problem with this tree. We both have a mutual interest not to have this tree fall on my property or your property. So can we just go in and get an arborist who can come in and balance the tree out? For these big oaks, you need an arborist, a licensed arborist insured, to figure out what needs to go or how to trim the tree, not give it a bad haircut in a way that balances the tree. So I would, if you got a good relationship with your neighbor, just sit down and have a conversation with them and say, let's go in and let's get an arborist. We'll go in half and half or whatever, or some kind of allocation. Mm-hmm. And let's figure out a way where this tree will be safe for both of us. Because you're right. If it's unbalanced, because a lot of these trees that fell, I live in a neighborhood, a subdivision in Mandeville right now. I'm looking out my window and I see about 20, 25 trees that are down. And that a lot of those trees were down, especially the oaks, because they were unbalanced or diseased. So you want to have that addressed and see if that works. Because if you go in a legal solution, then, when you bring out your garbage and you see them, y'all sort of like giving each other the number one sign, with the middle finger, So you don't want to do that. So I think that would be a good start. And then I'll tell you.
I felt a little short-changed since I cut my tree down, and that I'm just saying, let's just put it this way. Suppose your tree would have fell. It's on her property. It fell and hit the back of my house.
And during a hurricane?
Insurance company take care of
in a hurricane, yes.
Her insurance company.
No, your insurance company would do. Now, your insurance company, if they can find, if they think the tree was diseased or not properly maintained and there was a defect, they may try to get some of the money back from, their insurance company, but you're out of the mix at that point. Your insurance company would cover that.
Well, that's the only thing I'm worried about is a hurricane.
Ed would be next.
Okay.
Right now, I don't know.
All right.
I don't want to stir the water right now.
No.
I was just curious.
No, I think you got to start, and I appreciate the call, Bobby, and good luck to you. Let's go to the phone. Let's go to Ed. What do you got for us, Ed?
Is this Doug?
That's me, brother.
I'm a faithful listener. Over 10 years.
Thank you.
Every Sunday morning.
Thank you.
A two-part question.
Sure.
One, I have direct replacement. Maybe you can explain that. And two, the second part, my roof, I lost the backside of the roof. My roof's only 15 years old, and the rest of the house seems to be fine.
All right.
Now, I know the insurance company is just going to want to replace the backside of that roof.
No. You're either pregnant or you're pregnant or you're not. You're going to replace that whole roof or you're not.
Okay.
So that's what you tell the adjuster. You're not half pregnant in this situation.
Okay.
All right.
Because now I have two garages. In my second garage, there's no shingles or nothing. Mm-hmm. But a friend of mine has been a roofer. He's retired now. And he said, Ed, that roof sustained 120 mile an hour winds. So then, just because they look like they're not disturbed, they are disturbed.
Okay.
So what you're saying is right.
Well, here's what I'm going to have a roofing expert, Eric White, tomorrow on the show tomorrow. We're going to be on from noon to 3. I think I'm going to have him around between 1 and 2. I got to get the logistics. But and here's okay. I'm going to give you some anecdotal things from a lawyer who does a show on Sunday mornings and thinks he's an expert for LSU football. Okay, so this is I'm giving you a perspective of my foundation, but this is what I heard in court by experts when we had roof litigation. I'm not an engineer, so I'm just repeating some of the anecdotal things I heard, not anecdotal, but opinions of other engineers. And if there's any other engineers, roofing experts who are listening, you can call, and I welcome your feedback. Call 260-1870, because I love to hear experts' opinion, because I'm always interested in gaining knowledge. But I had an experience in Hurricane Katrina with a roof in Lakeview, and they only wanted to pay a patch. And then we asked for a readjustment, and we had a roofing contractor who happened to retire from roofing contractor as a roofing contractor and became a claims adjuster. And he said, I'm going to tell you something that's against the interests of who I'm working for. But he had said for a sealed tab roof, I'm just saying what he told me, there may be disagreements, so I'm giving you a disclaimer. He said, if you have 90 mile an hour winds sustained for more than 5 minutes for this type of roof in this location, it is done. And the reason why he says you have sealed tabs. And what happens is these sealed tabs become unsealed. So what is the good to have a sealed tab roof that's not sealed? And I've stole that line. I've stole that line in front of a jury. That's what I told the jury.
Oh.
And so,
yes. That's what my friend retired told me, the exact thing you saying. And Doug, could you explain? Like, let me run this by. Direct replacement.
Okay.
I have a big patio cover that I lost. Okay, I put it up right a week before Katrina, but it stood up during Katrina. It cost me $5,000. Now to replace that, probably right now, it might cost $8 to $10.
Right.
So how does that work?
There's two type of, replacement. It is known as RCV, replacement, value, or ACV, which is the value of that property before it was damaged. So basically, replacement value is what does it take to replace a TV? Not what's the value of your TV, but what is the cost to replace that TV of like, kind, and quality. So I'm going to give you a theoretical example. If you had a TV that you bought for $2,000 and it's 5 years old and it has some depreciation to it, and it's now worth $1,000, and then you have replacement cost value. What you get back is not the value of the TV, but the cost of replacing that TV. So even though your TV that was damaged is only maybe worth $1,000, under our RCV or replacement cost value policy, you would get what it costs to replace that TV of like, kind, and quality. You see, whereas under an ACV policy, if that TV after it's depreciated is $1,000, that's what you get. So basically, under an ACV policy, you would get what's the value of that TV at the time it was damaged to the hurricane. So,
and how do you know which one you have?
You got to read it. It's in the policy.
You got to read the policy.
And I'll tell you, my wife, I told her, she's a family law and estate planner. I said, you are now a hurricane lawyer. And I said, I started going through policies with her. And it's mind numbing. Okay. It is mind numbing. But you want to look first of all at the declaration page. The declaration page will give you a summary of all the coverages. Okay. Then there's another part that says exclusions, that says, even though we provide those coverages, these are things we're not going to provide coverage for.
I've seen that, yes.
And then they also have secondary coverages that a lot of people don't avail themselves to. Some policies have debris removal. Some they have extra coverages. So that's what you want to see. When you see additional coverages, read those, because a lot of people never avail themselves to that.
And which the two different ones?
There's replacement cost value, which is RCV, which is better. You'll get more money or ACV is basically the depreciated value of the item that was damaged. Now, some things depreciate and some don't. Like electronics depreciate. An antique does not depreciate. It retains its value. Sometimes
What happened in Katrina, I could tell you, I built this garage and it was only finished about a week, and I didn't know any better, and I had a little damage, a little dent in the siding, but the thing was brand new, so you don't want a brand new building with dented fascia and all that kind of stuff,
Right.
And they depreciated. I said depreciated. It was just put up,
Well, I'm going to get to that because you're going to have to advocate for yourself with the claims adjusters.
Right.
Now, I'm going to say be polite and respectful at all times because claims adjusters are, I've seen some homeowners go off on claims adjusters and I've seen their reports come back and I'm like, that's a report of a claims adjuster that's mad that they were treated so poorly.
I hate to take up so much of your time, but just giving such great information. And I got experience. My house flooded in Katrina. I had about 3-4 inches of water, and it ruined all my floors, but none of my furniture. So my neighbor, I'm not tech savvy. He came with a camera and took pictures of me taking the copper out, with the water and everything. And I wanted to run him off. He said, no, he's a CPA. He said, no, you need this. So the first 2 adjusters came out, and they were only with the company for 6 months. They had just hired them, and they denied my flood claim.
Okay, I'm gonna,
I got back with Allstate, and I wanted a new adjuster. That's when they said you can get a new adjuster.
Absolutely.
So the new adjusters came out, and they said, "Well, none of your furniture is damaged." I said, "Well, so
we're gonna have to take a break soon."
On my sofa, I popped the video in, and that saved me. And they came around. But if I would have just said, You're right what you're saying.
But before we go into the break, and I'm going to touch on this briefly, and we can talk about it later. Okay. When they labor up, these adjusting firms, they have to labor up and get warm bodies. Sometimes the warm bodies have a lot of construction experience. Some of the warm bodies were dealing blackjack 2 to 3 weeks ago and needed a new job. And so my point saying is the inexperienced adjusters have less of a inclination to assess damages and put them in their report because they're not going to get in trouble for not putting enough damage, in there. Nobody, their supervisor is not going to get upset with them in that. Their supervisors would get upset if they put something in there that wasn't covered. So if you really are unsure as to what you're doing, or you're young and inexperienced in the industry, they're going to be less reluctant to give maybe less reluctant because they don't have a full understanding as to what they're doing. And at that point, you would ask for a new adjuster. But, we got to go to a break. So thanks for the call, Ed. I appreciate it. Let's go to break. You can call us at 1-260-870. And we will more with the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina. We'll be right back after this brief time out. Go Tigers!
After the storm is over, if you think you have wind damage or missing roofing, siding, and gutters, call VinylTech. They have a AAA rating with the BBB, so you know they can be trusted. Doug, good stuff. VinylTech has been serving the New Orleans metro for
Are we good on volume and everything else?
Exterior specialist.
Somebody complained about a clicking noise. Has that stopped?
Let us work with
that. Is on your side, probably in your.
I guarantee you'll be satisfied.
Do you want me to go to a microphone at the break?
469.
I think we're good as
long
as there's no clicking.
Okay, I'm trying to figure out what that was.
Although the storm is over, the danger may not be. As the cleanup begins, watch for low-hanging or downed power lines. These lines may be hidden under fallen trees or branches. Always assume a downed line is energized. Stay away.
Who do we have next?
911 or Clico at 1-800-622-6737.
Gil, G-I-L?
G-I-L-L.
Okay, and Nancy. Gotcha.
To restore your power. At Clico, they're working to keep you safe before, during, and after the storm.
Northern Tool and Equipment is open and ready to help. Stop in for generators, water pumps, fans, power tools, scaffolding, and more. Supplies are limited. Find us in Metairie at 6851 Veterans Memorial Boulevard or Homa at 1548 Martin Luther King Boulevard.
Shelter insurance policyholders with damage to your home, car, farm, or business due to the hurricane should call 1-800-SHELTER. That's 1-800-743-5837. or report your claim
Okay.
online
Yeah, I'll
at
slow it down.
shelterinsurance.com.
I do better with
Early
the callers.
reporting of claims is
Yeah.
important.
Okay.
Shelter adjusters are able to handle your claim while practicing social distancing.
Yeah, yeah.
Take
Just
whatever
hold my
reasonable
cough off.
steps you can to
Yeah, I
protect
just
your
hold my
property
cough
from
off
additional
until the,
damage and
commercial
call
break.
us at 1-800-SHELTER to
Yeah,
report
I
your
have water.
claim today.
The International Brotherhood of Electrical
All right.
Workers, Local 130, has immediate job opportunities. Earn $44.78 an hour with industry-leading benefits, including health care for you and your family, a great retirement package, excellent working conditions, and a continuing education program. If you have integrity, a strong work ethic, and believe pride in your work counts for something, call 504-831-1372 or visit IBWLU130.com.
Attention People's Health Plan members. We want you to get the care you need when and where you need it. People's Health is here for you with support for prescription refills at drugstores across the country. And no matter where you're located or what your situation, we have member services staff standing by to connect you to the help you need. Call 1-800-222-8600. That's 1-800-222-8600. TTY users may call 711. Visit peopleshealth.com to learn more.
Although Hurricane Ida has come and gone, many in greater New Orleans and southeast Louisiana are still without power, without food and water, without air conditioning, some without homes. So WWL and our Odyssey family of stations are partnering with Second Harvest Food Bank to get help to those who need it most. Every dollar you donate will provide 4 disaster meals to aid families, friends, and neighbors in Louisiana. Can you help? Donate now at WWL.com or OdysseyCares.com.
This is an important message from Entergy. As we work to restore your service, please make safety your top priority. Portable generators should never be connected directly to a home's wiring, as this could send electricity back into the power lines where Entergy crews are working. For more information on generator safety, download the free Entergy app or visit EntergyStormCenter.com.
If you're a State Farm customer affected by the recent hurricane and need to submit a claim, go to statefarm.com, call 1-800-SF-CLAIM, download the State Farm mobile app, or contact your local State Farm agent. With one of the industry's largest catastrophe response teams, State Farm and your agent are ready to help. Go to statefarm.com to start your claim. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Brandon Hawley here. Premium Windows. Professionally measured, professionally installed. ReliefWindows.com.
It's continuing coverage of the aftermath of Ida on WWL, Louisiana's official emergency management station. Also on Magic 101.9, Bayou 95.7, and B97. Connect now on the Oakland Heart Jewelers talk and text line, 504-260-1870.
Oh my goodness. I got goosebumps. Man, go Tigers. Attorney Doug Sunseri, part of continuous coverage of recovery for Hurricane Ida on Odyssey family of radio stations, WWL-AM-FM.com, and the Odyssey app. Also on Magic 109.1, B97, and Bayou 95.6. Y'all have questions regarding insurance do's and don'ts, contractors? That's why I'm here. You can connect with me by calling or texting the text line at 504-260-1870, 504-260-1870. Let's go to
Gil.
Let's go to Gil, man. Let's go to Gil. Hey, Gil, what's happening, brother? Are you fare out okay?
Bye-bye.
Gil gone? Yeah, you on, brother?
Hey, how you doing, man?
Good. How'd you fare
nice
out?
to hear you on a Saturday for a change.
Hey,
I live in Covington. I got trees all over the place. And yeah, some of them hit my house, some of them hit my fence, which is actually why I'm calling you.
Okay.
I've got a bunch of sections of fence down, and I have a rather large swimming pool in the middle of my backyard, and I'm curious as to what the liabilities might be.
Well, trees are an interesting issue. First of all, if a tree hits a fence, a structure, your house, the insurance company will pay for the full cost of removal of the tree and all ancillary work. If a tree just falls and it doesn't damage anything else, you're not going to get the full cost of removing the tree. And you'll have to look in your policy if they have a provision for a limit for tree removal. Some policies may have $500,000 for tree removal. That doesn't impact the structure of your house, a garage, a shed, a fence, or some aspect of it. Now, for example, in the pool, I would assert that if a tree fell in the pool, that should be removed because it's part of, I guess, one of the structures of the house. It had some damage to the pool. That's an iffy question. But if it's, if the tree was touched a structure, even, and we used to have these cases, we used to say, if you had some branches that were touching the fence, we would say, hey, we're just, we're going by the policy here, and, you got to pay for it. And it's one of the disputes we have. So that's a general primer on what's recoverable for fallen trees and what's not recoverable for fallen trees. Now, as far as the pool's concerned, tell me about the damage in the pool and the tree, or the interaction between them both.
Okay, the damage is not the pool itself. The damage, what I'm concerned with primarily is my personal liability if somebody wanders back there and falls in and drowns.
Well, what you're going to probably want to do is, obviously, you can't get a vendor to build a new fence under these circumstances. What you can do to mitigate that is get some yellow tape and wrap it around and, and just post something. Now,
my very own crime scene.
Right. Now, does that, under normal circumstances, if you didn't have a fence, would that be a defense to someone who wanders and goes to the pool? No. But under these extraordinary circumstances, when it is not, where contractors are not readily available, contractors who build fence, repair fences, they might not be available for months. So what you at least do is try to give some type of warning and some type of mitigation, saying, make it a crime scene. And I think that would be something that would add protection to you regarding your concern.
Okay, that was my primary concern. So far, the tree removal process has been going smoothly, but maybe I should have never said anything.
No.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much. Okay, let's go to Nancy. Hey, Nancy, what you got for us? What do you have for us, sweetie?
Hey, yeah, Doug. Okay, I live in Mandeville, and I have a townhome.
And Pepper after
and
this.
Behind me, there is a fourplex.
Mm-hmm.
And the property owner hasn't come yet to take a look at the property. But anyway, a pine tree fell on his property, and it uprooted the fence in my backyard.
Mm-hmm.
It fell onto his property.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just wondering, who is responsible, number one, to remove that fence? Because it did fall completely onto his property.
Whose fence is it?
Pardon?
Whose fence is it?
Well, that was my question. I did not buy the townhome brand new, so I don't know if that's my fence or if that's his fence.
Well, I think the insurance policy insures which your insurance policy insures what's yours. Their insurance policy insures what's theirs. Okay.
Correct.
So you're going to have to find out who owns the fence. And if you own the fence, then your insurance policy will cover the repair. If his insurance policy owns the fence, his insurance policy will be responsible for the fence. So that's probably the response to question number one. All right.
Okay.
And what other concerns do you have?
Okay.
Or questions?
Well, so in other words, I have to find out who owns that fence before that the fence can be removed, correct? Or is he responsible for removing the fence?
Well, I think the owner, you got to give the owner the opportunity to remove it. Is removing it, not removing it, a health hazard? Or a hazard? Then probably better to leave it there until you sort that out.
Okay.
If it was a hazard for reason, I would say go remove it. If it was a hazard or a danger or something that, that I would say, get it out of there. But since it's not a hazard, it doesn't need to be done today. I know you'd like to have it done today. I mean, like we all would. Just, wait till the fourplex owner comes back, and y'all sort of sort that out and let whoever owns it, let their insurance company pay for the repair or the removal or whatever they need to do.
Okay, and here's another thing. It was a pine tree that fell.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so he's got a lot of trees back there. The pine tree didn't completely fall. It's leaning up against another tree.
All right, now I will say this.
Now, if it does fall, it's not going to fall on my property. But I'm just
No.
amazed that the man hasn't even come over there to see that.
Now, I've said this. I've told people this. If there's a hazard to your property like that, I'll say, do what you need to do to not make it a hazard anymore. I don't think anybody will give you a problem with that. Homeowners Association, or they have a tree cutting rule, or the parish or your neighbor. If there's a hazard and your neighbor's out of town, I would say do whatever you can to mitigate that hazard, because we don't. More people. A lot. I don't know the statistics, but a lot of people die after a storm from situations like this. Through generators, through chainsaws, through falling off roofs. And so we don't want that to happen. And I think any court, any jurisdiction, any enforcement agency would understand that if you had a shared tree that was on both your property and you got it down while your neighbor was out of town in order to protect life, they're going to say that's okay. Okay, even though under normal circumstances going on your property to do it would be maybe not proper. So I would say in that situation, do what you need to do to make sure there's no loss of life. And then I think, the insurance company or whoever can deal with that later.
Yeah.
That's aggressive advice, but I think safety is more important than anything. All right.
Pepper.
All right. Let's thanks for the call. Let's go to Pepper. Pepper, you are on recovery from Hurricane Ida. What do you got for us, Pepper?
How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. I hear you good, man.
Okay, excellent. I'm on Highway 9.
Ray and then Ray after that.
Okay. What do you got for us, Pepper, on Highway 90?
I got a question about asbestos roof shingles.
All right.
I got an old house from the 1940s,
mm-hmm.
and I never lost a shingle before, never made a claim, anything. And on this one, I lost about 30 asbestos shingles.
Yes.
Enough to, but I don't know what the protocol is these days.
Here's your problem. There is a protocol for removing those asbestos shingles. And there's a certain disposal protocol. I might get Kevin, who's going to come on the next hour after the news, Kevin Manali, maybe to elaborate on this. But it's not a situation where you can get a bunch of, your normal roof company and they start pulling it off. There is a protocol, and I know there's governmental regulations on how to dispose of these asbestos shingles. I don't know the specifics. I'll ask Kevin Kevin's probably listening. I'll ask him to get that information, and maybe he can elaborate on it. But I could say generally that was a big issue in Lakeview with Katrina, because you had a lot of these houses that were built in the post World War II, and they had asbestos shingles, and there was a real issue regarding getting those shingles down in a way that met with the protocols of whatever regulatory agency of the state or federal government. So that's an issue. I don't have the specifics of that right now. I will try to get it for you, but just keep that in mind. All right. Thanks for the call. Let's go to the second Ray. Hey, Ray, you're not on All Things Legal. You are on the recovery from Hurricane Ida. How can I help you, Ray?
Hello, can you hear me?
I hear you just fine, brother. What you have for us?
Great. I have a quick question. Is it legal for a property owner to refuse access to a utility company to repair damaged power lines? It happened to a person over in Albany. I'm an ex-cop, and they came in this morning and asked me, and I said, I have no idea.
The power company has a right to get to the servitude where these lines go. So I would say yes, it is improper, because there is a servitude that crosses, that the power lines basically have the legal right to use. And under law, if you have a servitude or you're a representative of a owner of a servitude, you right to access it in the most expedient way. If there's not an alternative way to get to the least intrusive way, I'll put it to you that way. Whoever a representative of an entity has a right to access that servitude in the most intrusive way. And if they don't,
on the North Shore.
Yes. Now
on the North Shore, he refused access. They called the police. He locked the gate, and police said nothing they can do about it.
Well, it could be a civil matter and not a criminal matter.
That's what I thought.
And that's probably why the police did not get enforced. Now, I'm sure Joe Lopinto would have done something different. Joe Lopinto might have gotten Vito Corleone to help solve this problem. But and I think the St. John Parish. But so if the police refuse to get involved, they were probably saying it's a civil matter. But they can get an injunction. Entergy could go to court theoretically, get a temporary injunction to have access to it. Now, what I think they're going to do is just try to work around it. Is my guess. But if
they need, I don't know. I can't for the life of me
Jacob
why
is
he wouldn't
next.
want him to come repair the lines, but for some reason he didn't. So
right.
I thank you for the info.
All right, thanks for calling. Let's go to Jacob. Hey, Jacob, you on the aftermath for Hurricane Ida? What do you have for us, brother?
Hey, man. Thank you for having me. I just wanted
Richard is
I'm
next.
an insurance adjuster. I've been working about 5 years now. To answer the guy's question about the asbestos, it's called abatement. So they'll come out and they'll test shingles. If it comes out positive for asbestos, your insurance company will pay the abatement to safely remove the hazardous material from your roof. Another thing I wanted to say was the tree removal thing. So if it falls on a property, most policies I've seen have a $500 limit for debris removal. So what you got to do is you got to tell your insurance company or tell the people who are removing the trees, okay, factor in, if they want $12,000 to remove all the trees off your property, and it has to hit something that's covered like a house or a fence. Write it up to where most of the cost is to remove the tree off the structure, place it on the ground, and then a $500 to haul the debris away, and that'll get most of that taken care of. And there was one more. I can't really think of it though, brother. You're doing a good job. Oh, it was the experience with the adjusters. Okay, so a lot of people, and I've been in a lot of war rooms, they call them, when you go out on the hurricane deployment, a lot of people are brand new. They would prefer. Yeah, I know you said they don't want you paying for too much, but to be honest, man, your first 10 or so claims they review anyway, and they're from my experience, they're more comfortable accidentally paying a little bit too much than having people struggle to try to get somebody else out there and to get an adjuster to come back out there and try to make it right. So, but you got to be patient with these people. A lot of them are brand new, and you can only see what you can see. The contractor can see more because once he starts removing roofing material or plywood, OSB, whatever, he can start to see more than what you can see on the outside. So
and one of the things, you go ahead.
Go ahead, buddy.
You go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say that, in my experience, most of these people, even if they're first time on hurricane deployment, they just want to give people as much help as they possibly can. And, you can only see what you can see, though, on the surface. They're not allowing you to go tear off shingles and dig further into the roof to see what all's damaged, So, but like I'm saying, be patient with your adjuster, man. They're usually very good people. And take pictures, document everything. If you're going to do anything, just take as many pictures as you can. That way, when your adjuster gets there, he'll have everything he needs, and he can get you help as quickly as possible.
Yeah, and I'm going to have Kevin Manali on after the break, and he's done, I think, a couple of thousand adjustments, and we're going to talk about some of the things to have a collaborative effort between the claims adjuster and the homeowner, so that was paid out is what's supposed to be paid out. And so I think he's going to give us some tips. I thank you for your information on the asbestos abatement, because that issue has been about 16 years in my brain, and I knew there was a protocol, and I appreciate you letting the audience know what would need to be done. So I wish you Godspeed, and thanks very much for the call. Is there anything else you want to add before we go to the news break?
No, sir, you're doing a great job, man, and I just want to say appreciate you guys helping everybody out, man. Thank you very much.
Well, that's WWL, Diane, Ian, and the group, man. They just getting good information out there. Do we have anybody else on the phone line right now?
Richard.
We got Richard. We got how long do we have before we go to break?
3 minutes.
3 minutes. So hey, Richard, you know your time limit. You had the 3-minute warning. So what you have for us? Richard.
Oh.
Hey, you are. You got now. You got about two minutes and 35 seconds. What do you have for us?
Yeah, y'all have been talking about trees and who's responsible for the trees.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a back neighbor. His large pine tree had fell across the back of my yard and got lodged onto an oak tree in my yard, and it's leaning pretty heavy. And it's if it continues to fall, if it falls, and if it takes the oak tree in my yard with it, it's going to knock out part or a lot of the house next door to me on the other side.
Is your neighbor home?
The people who are renting the property, they evacuated. I'm trying to get in touch with the owner.
Here's my advice: get a tree company out there and remove the hazard. Anything to mitigate your hazard, because it fell on your fence, so you're going to be covered for it. And get out there and do anything that will eliminate further problems in the future. A lot of these arborists are very, very good. There's nothing they haven't seen, and get them in there, get that tree off, your fence, get it off the property, and let them deal with how they're going to do that, especially with part of it being on the other property. But remove that hazard. That's number one. That's huge.
Am I responsible because the tree is hung up on the oak tree in my yard? It has cracked that oak tree.
Well,
am I responsible if that tree falls over on my neighbor's house?
No, I mean their insurance company will pick it up. So their insurance company will pick it up. So I wouldn't worry about that. I think your primary.
Well, I just wanted to find out if I'm legally responsible for any damage that these trees have caused.
I would say that you have the other party, your neighbor has insurance to deal with that. And I don't think that's going to be a practical problem. I'm more concerned about it being a hazard to you and you dealing with it. I don't want that tree to fall and do any more damage to other property or to a person. So I would recommend you go in there and deal with that issue as best you can, is make it safe. And I think since that tree was on your fence, you would be able to collect the value of that, of its removal off the fence. So, whether you're legally responsible or not, you have insurance for it. He has insurance for it. So you're okay personally.
I actually had to give up my insurance a few years ago.
All right.
So
well,
I don't have any
you don't have homeowner. Okay. All right. I'm assuming you did have homeowners.
Yeah.
This is what I would do, and I'm sorry, it's going to cost you out of pocket, but I'd get rid of that tree and get safe. I mean, you're going to have to, get rid of it sooner or later. Let's do it sooner before it hurts someone. And so, I'm sorry you don't have insurance, and I'm not sure what kind of FEMA help you had. But thanks for the call. All right, we're finished hour number one. We're going to go to national. We're going to go to news, and this is Attorney Doug Sunseri here with you through it all. Call or text 504-260-1870. We'll be back with continuous coverage of recovery for Hurricane Ida on a Odyssey family of radio stations. Stay tuned, and we're going to have Kevin Manali, who's a claims adjuster, give us a few tips on how to deal with the initial claims process. See you in about 5 minutes.
Continuing coverage of the aftermath of Ida on 870 AM WWL New Orleans, 105.3 WWL FM and HD1 Kenner New Orleans, WLMG and WLMG HD1 New Orleans, WKBU and WKBU HD1 New Orleans, and WEZB and WEZB HD1 New Orleans. Odyssey stations.
WWL First News. It's 1 o'clock. I'm Tom Perumian on your official weather station, WWL AM, FM, and .com.
Well, today's going to be hot, but not as humid. Drier air moved in yesterday, so
all right, all
keep
good.
Our humidity values in check today. A heat advisory goes into effect later on this afternoon and lasts throughout the early evening hours. So
WWL TV meteorologist Michelle Morgan's local
Hey,
weather
Doug.
forecast is on the way. Hours after an argument over whose turn it was in line at a gas station in Metairie turned deadly, the suspect surrendered himself to the sheriff's department. WWL's Chris Miller reports.
Jefferson Parish Sheriff Joe Lapinto describes how it went down.
The shooter cut through, was confronted.
Hey, Doug, you there?
In front of, and
we're still hearing the clicking. I think you may have, if you're on a laptop or if it's just your personal computer, you may have the volume turned on. I think that's what we're hearing.
Okay, the volume on my personal computer.
Sheriff said
maybe, perhaps.
You know, sometimes
pointed the
I think
gun
it's
at the
my
victim.
headphones.
Once he pointed the gun at
It sounds pretty consistent. You're not
okay. Let me check. Let me check the volume.
Just it's all right.
The judge said a
Let me
$500,000
check volume.
bond for Scipio, who's booked for second-degree murder.
Volume.
A sixth death stemming from the warehousing of nursing home patients in Independence has taken place.
Here, let me see
no
what
other
this one is.
details have been released. We are awaiting official confirmation on the cause of death. St. Charles Parish has lifted its mandatory evacuation. Residents can return to check on their homes. Most of the parish does not have power, and residents should bring enough supplies to sustain themselves for a week. This includes water, ice, food, and fuel. Entergy has restored a few thousand more customers overnight in New Orleans and Jefferson, also St. Bernard parishes. Still a long way to go, though, with 338,000 customers in just those parishes.
You know, Jordan,
without
every
power,
time I
and more
turn
than
my head with the
604,000
headphones, it seems to do it.
Statewide.
Do the clicking?
Yes.
Okay, so you hear it too. Okay.
Yeah, it's when I do that. When I do that, and that's why one of my headphones went dead, so I had a spare. Now I have a microphone, and I could get earphones.
Well,
whatever's easier for you. I don't know if you're using the an external mic.
Well, I'm using the headphones now, but I have an external mic if I need one.
Okay.
And
But
plenty of places to buy
no,
gas.
I might.
Those seem to be the.
I don't know if
things that
that's
cause the
better.
people most.
I mean, that's fine. Yeah, that might be that. If not, I'm not going to sit there and say, "Hey, try to keep still."
Okay, I am going to try to keep still. So,
no worries. Yeah, that's fine.
Thanks.
As power restoration picks up in the metro area.
CBS News Brief. The death toll from Hurricane Ida is up to 62 now. Temps are fraying in Louisiana, where people digging out after Hurricane Ida are dealing with no electricity and a gas shortage. Full power likely won't be restored until the end of the month in some places. Jefferson Parish Sheriff Joe Lapinto says there was a shooting in a gas line.
There was a verbal argument at that point in time. I believe his girlfriend actually tried to de-escalate the situation between them. The suspect went back to his vehicle, retrieved the gun.
COVID-19 worries aren't keeping people out of Las Vegas this Labor Day weekend. KLAS reporter Okomana.
It's one of the top travel destinations in the country right now, with hotel bookings in August 2021 outpacing those of August 2019. There's huge demand even as COVID-19 concerns continue.
In Kabul, Taliban forces fired weapons to break up a protest for women's rights. It's the second march in as many days. CBS News Brief. I'm Allison Keys.
Now here's Tim Zimmer in WWL Sports.
The LSU Tigers will have to go all the way out west later today and play inside the historic Rose Bowl Stadium against the UCLA Bruins. The Tigers began their season coming off wins last year against the 6th-ranked Florida Gators and the Ole Miss Rebels. Coach O talked about the importance of this game and continuing what they started last season.
Especially our team knows it. You know, we're going across the country. We played in the Rose Bowl. We played on a national stage. But this game is probably the most important starting game that I've had since I'm a head coach.
Doug, you there?
Our team knows that. For us to get on the right foot, to get to where we want to be, we have to start well.
The LSU Tigers aren't the only big game today, as we have a couple top 25.
The rattling is still happening a bit.
19th ranked Penn State
I
takes
got
on
my
Wisconsin
microphone
to start
out.
things off.
Okay, good.
But I'm not. I don't know if I can set it up in time.
Crimson Tide.
I got to find
They
out.
take on the 14th.
One of my
ranked
headphones
Hurricanes,
went dead.
and then we finish it off with the
And
5th
so-
ranked Georgia Bulldogs taking on the number 3
can't,
Clemson Tigers at 6:30. Tim Zimmer, WWL Sports.
I got old headphones.
Just make sure you're up close to your microphone.
WWL.
Kind of a dry period setting up here with a little lower humidity. It'll be about a 20% chance of
It's
rain
the
today,
wire that's
and we'll be
coming
looking
from
at highs in the low 90s.
my ear,
As we go into the weekend, still
or
hot, but
the
mostly
wire
dry,
that's
92 on
connected
Saturday
to
with
the
mostly Sunny,
Comrex.
cloudy skies.
It's got a bad
Saturday.
connection and it rattles.
Sunday, 20% chance rain.
And the
highs in
other
the low 90s.
headphones
So if you do need to put
is
in
You're
dead.
gonna have to get a little bit louder.
It's going to be the time.
I got to get it louder?
Because
Okay.
next week we
Is
have
that better?
rain chances back.
Perfect.
And this
Okay.
will be higher. So we'll be looking
Now,
at the highest rain chances.
I may
by the
try,
middle
if I
and
could
end of the
find
week.
some headphones I
As
could
some
connect to the
tropical moisture builds
Comrex.
in. Now, with that tropical moisture, we'll have to watch for some development into a
I
tropical
will
system.
do
No
it.
guarantee it happens, but it is something we'll be watching. Concern level right now, very low, but it's September. We'll keep an eye on it for you. From your local weather expert forecast center, I'm WWL TV meteorologist Peyton Malone.
Sunny and hot, 90 degrees south of the lake, 91 degrees, hot and sunny on the North Shore. I'm Tom Perumian, WWL First News.
On WWL-AM-FM.com and the Odyssey app, Louisiana's official emergency management station, it's continuing.
Kevin's there for you.
Aftermath of
Okay.
Ida. Live from our Jefferson Financial Federal Credit Union studios. Also on Magic 101.9, Bayou 95.7, and B97. Connect now on the Oakland Hart Jewelers Talk and Text line. 504-260-1870. Back to Team WWL.
Hey, we're back. Attorney Doug Sunseri, part of continuous coverage of the recovery from Hurricane Ida on Odyssey's family of radio stations, WWL-AM-FM.com, the Odyssey app, also on Magic 101.9, B97, Bayou 94.7. Y'all have a lot of questions regarding insurance do's and don'ts, questions about contractors, and any assistance for Hurricane Ida. We're here to help. You can connect with us by calling or texting at 504-260-1870, 504-260-1870. And this is a wonderful announcement I get to make, is that LSU coverage starts at 3 o'clock. Today, LSU kicks off its season against the soon-to-be defeated and butt-kicked UCLA Bruins at the Rose Bowl in California, in Pasadena, California. Man, let's take a break from Hurricane Ida and let's root the Tigers on. We're going to have Christian Garrick, Bobby Hebert, and Herb Tyler, LSU quarterback under Jerry DiNardo, and Tiger fans, we want to hear what you have to say. Chris Blair takes over at 5:30 with the LSU official pregame show on the LSU network. Kickoff is at 7:30. Go Tigers! All right, let's go to. I have Kevin Manali on the line, and Kevin is he's a claims I guess you could call him a building consultant who does claims. He's been certified as an expert in federal court, and he's probably done, 1,500, 2,000 claims for us. And we got him on the line to help give some advice at this stage of the process to the listeners on what to do, what not to do, and how to help give the claims adjuster and the insurance company the information they need in order to maximize your claim. Kevin, thanks you for taking your time this afternoon, and I appreciate you being here.
No problem, Doug. Anytime.
All right. First of all, I hear you loud and clear. First of all, just sort of tell us, what you have done in the past, and I guess your credentials as far as when you got certified in federal court.
Sure, no problem. Let's just start with the credentials first. I'm a state licensed contractor, state licensed insurance adjuster. I'm a licensed electrician. And again, I'm also certified in both state and federal court as an expert in construction and renovations.
Okay.
So I'm pretty well-rounded. I've been fire tested and
battle tested.
Worked out well.
Battle tested.
Battle tested, indeed.
Okay, now
we all have been.
How many claims do you think you've done? Since Katrina.
If you combine it amongst from Katrina on, it's probably been upwards close to 2,000 claims that have been done. Maybe a little bit more, give or take.
All right, and that's what we thought.
Yeah, both flood. That's both flood and wind claims.
Now I'm going to ask you a general question.
Sure.
Let's tell us what's the mindset of the claims adjuster when he first comes in, and what are some of the things that the homeowner can do to help give information to the claims adjuster in order to help give to, I guess, lack of a better word, maximize the value of the claim.
Sure. I think for a claims adjuster coming in that's never done it before, that's very green, fear is the very first thing that they're going to experience, because disasters like these are totally overwhelming for homeowners and it really gets overwhelming for an inexperienced adjuster. But we all understand why they need to be there. Experienced adjusters who have been through this, I prefer to work with experienced adjusters when we have claims that we have to, basically try to advance further than what the insurance companies really want to pay. I prefer working with very experienced people because we're on the same page, and usually the results are very good. As far as what you can do, the very first thing I would say is be nice, be patient. That there's no need for conflict with your adjuster. If you get in a conflict or a battle with your adjuster, don't expect good things. I'm not saying that they will automatically hold back anything because that would be ethically wrong, but people get mad. And when people get mad, things happen. So be nice. Try to help them as much as you can. Point out the damages that you know of, that you can see, because they're only going to write basically what they can see. If you have hidden damages behind walls when you start doing repairs or in ceilings or light fixtures or whatever, those can be caught in a supplemental claim. So some people don't realize that they can actually file a supplemental claim, but you can when you find damages that weren't listed. How far you get with that, don't know. It just depends on your insurance company and your insurance adjuster. A lot of adjusters will take a big hurricane, do the first adjustments and then disappear, especially if there's another storm somewhere else. So you may be shuffled around through different adjusters. And so that can create some problems because new adjusters coming on haven't seen the property. They don't fully understand what's going on. So usually that can create some conflict. But for all intents and purposes, as long as you're nice to them and try to help them out and be cordial, it doesn't mean you have to be buddy, friend, be their friend or anything, but just be cordial. And I think you'll get a lot further along on your claim than you would if you're hostile.
Now let's talk about, just because you be polite, respectful at all times, that doesn't mean you don't advocate for your position. Tell me how a homeowner can advocate for something, in order to let the adjuster know of information that he may not have that would be helpful.
Okay. When I say be nice, I'm not saying, bend over backwards or anything like that. What I'm saying is you can be stern, you can be firm in what the point you want to get across without being, overbearing or without being obnoxious. So if you're adamant and there's damage in a specific place that was caused from the storm, you can be adamant pointing it out. And especially if you were there during the storms, you tell them that I was here during the storm. I saw this happen, and that's going to prompt them, because now you're a witness to what happened. That's going to prompt them more to be more likely to allow for those damages, because now it's not a question of, was it from the hurricane or was it not from the hurricane? The adjuster really doesn't know unless it's totally obvious. So by being stern, and you can be stern, but just don't be obnoxious while doing it. And that'll go a long way.
Now, let's tell the listeners of some of the places of damage that are not immediately visible or obvious that they should check out in connection with their own inspection before the adjuster comes.
Well, a lot of times you can find things like if you have roof leaks and the water actually runs down the walls on the inside of the wall, and it doesn't manifest anywhere on the wall that you can see on the outside or on the living side of the wall, let's put it that way. And you have water on your floor and you don't know where it came from. It could have run down the wall on the inside. And as it comes out at that bottom plate, you have your shoe molding, you have your baseboards. It may also, cause enough damage to the sheetrock to where it needs to be replaced. These are the kind of things that you wouldn't readily see. A lot of this would manifest itself later down the line. But like, let's say it's on the floors and you're going to replace it. You have carpet and you're going to replace your carpet. And then you notice that if you have shoe molding, normally you don't get carpet. If you do, you notice that your shoe molding is really, really saturated wet, or the baseboard is, or the bottom of the sheetrock is when you pull the shoe molding off, you'd have to pull the baseboard off. These are things you would find after the fact. And that's the kind of things that you would try to claim on a supplement. But these things like that, hidden items, are not readily seen or readily available to the original adjuster who comes in order to put that in his claim. And so you try to get that part of it back in a supplement. And if they cooperate and you do, great. And if they don't cooperate and they kind of just blow you off, well, then you need to get some type of help along with your claim. And I'll say this too. Now, you know as well as I do, you're dealing with flood. Flood is a total different beast from wind. And
total different policy.
You can handle flood. If you think you can handle flood on your own, you're kidding yourself, because it's just a real animal to try to work through and deal with.
Now, okay. Let me tell you what we did with my brother-in-law today. He had a roof that came from his tree, and we were talking about the floor. And so I told him to go pull out a golf ball. We did one tile. The golf ball bounced up about 2.5 feet. We did the next tile. The golf ball only popped up about 3 inches. Tell me what the golf ball test is for wood floors, and tell me what is that indicative of when you have that situation.
Okay. Normally, the golf ball test, you'll find a lot of structural engineers will do that. Not all of them, but some of them will. Then you're just bouncing the golf ball. If it's ceramic tile, you do the 4 corners. And what you're looking for is to see the tone of when the ball hits the floor and the height that it bounces back. If the floor is properly adhered, then the ball will bounce back pretty much evenly on all 4 corners. And the tone will sound about the same as the ball bounces off those 4 corners. When you hit a tile that has released, or it's not sticking to the floor anymore because it's broken away from the thin set or the mortar bed or whatever, however it's originally applied. Like you said, you'll hear that hollow spot, or it'll be very distinct. You'll know it. And so you know that water, and this applies if you have water on the floor. If you didn't get flooded or didn't have water all over the floor that sat for a good while, you may have a few that are loose, but this isn't going to apply for this. So you need to just bounce the ball on every tile and see. If you've had water and you have several tiles that make that distinct hollow sound when you bounce that golf ball, go ahead and mark those tiles. And then that way, when the adjuster comes, give him the golf ball, tell him to bounce it off the floor, on these tiles, compare it to the ones that aren't marked. And that way he can hear and see for himself that the tiles have released. And then they should replace that ceramic tile floor.
The entire floor.
Now with wood, the entire floor. Now with wood, it's pretty much the same thing, as long as the wood floor is a glue down wood floor. If it's glued down, you can apply this. If it's a floating floor or it has a pad under it, no, this will not work, because the floor is not adhered to the substructure. So the bouncing of the golf ball works on flooring that is permanently adhered to the slab.
Okay, now this is with the interaction with the adjuster. Sometimes the adjuster, they do this on roofs, saying, you can do a patch job, and it's opposition that probably most of the roofs, based on the sustained winds in this general area, if there's damage, the whole roof needs to be replaced. I mean, I think that's my opinion from listening to other experts too, even though I'm just but just tell me, this, can you, if you have the wood floors, for example, the tiles, and they're no longer adhesive, and the adjuster said, well, we just need to replace that patch. Tell me what's the fallacy of that, I guess, remediation.
Okay. The fallacy of most of that is a lot of newer wood flooring that's in play in most of these houses it's not going to be the 3/4 inch or thicker solid plank that you find in let's face it, you find it in $1 million homes in that, and actually some real old houses that were built in the 40s and 50s have it. But you may have a flooring with only a very thin veneer. Engineered wood flooring is just a thin veneer on top, and most of these floors cannot be refinished. So you basically can't really just replace a section, because especially if it's engineered wood flooring, or if it's just a thin, cheapy wood floor, just to say you have a wood floor, or if it's parquet, which I don't really think many people use parquet anymore, but you can't refinish the floors. So if you have a floor that can be refinished, then you can do certain patches, but be aware that the grain structure of the patch is not going to match the original floor perfectly. The floors can be sanded, and patches can be matched as long as it's the same type of wood. If it's oak, you put oak in, or, if it's knotty pine and you put knotty pine in, that can be pretty well blended in with a refinish and stain. But for the most part, you have to have the type of floor that you can refinish in order to do a proper patch on it. Now, if you don't have that type of floor, then all of it needs to be changed. So there are some technicalities to replacing all of it versus doing a patch. But again, like I said, on wood floor, it's got to be a type that can be patched. And let me tell you, a lot of times it's less expensive just to replace the wood floor than it is to patch and restain and everything else. Or you just patch the areas that are bad and put a new wood floor, if you want wood, over the existing wood floor that is still, the patch should be fine because it'll be securely placed. And then the other wood floor should be fine if it's secure still and it didn't release. You can go right over the top of it. And a lot of times that's what people will do, because it's a lot less expensive to do it that way than it is to try to go ahead and restain, a traditionally, 3-inch or 2-inch plank, 3/4-inch floor.
Okay,
that would probably cost you $10 a square foot to do that.
Let me ask you a question regarding sheetrock. You have let's say a living room. One of the walls has water stain on it, and it needs to come out. And you have the other 3 walls that weren't touched. Now, can you talk about how it should be handled, those other 3 walls, and the ceiling, and whether they should be painted, even though they were not touched with water, as far as having continuity? For me, I always include painting everything, because you have old paint versus fresh paint. You have to try, if you really wanted to look right, you would have to try to color match each wall, the ceiling. Ceiling paint fade, especially if you're a smoker, they're going to stain from nicotine. There's a few things that go with it, but as far as like the wall that's damaged, yeah, that all comes out. But the other 3, where you make your joints, especially where you're going to make your corner joints and everything, you're going to have some overlay on those walls anyway from the drywall, from your drywall contractor making seams. So the walls have to be painted. And you find in some estimates, I've seen it a lot, where they don't paint the additional walls, but you have to, because you can't make a seam on only one side of the wall, one part of the wall. The seam has to be on 2 parts. So that's some of the little things that a lot of inexperienced adjusters will leave out. Now let's talk about
the fact that they don't know.
Let's talk about sheetrock. If a claims adjuster gives a reimbursement based on 2 feet of sheetrock in a damaged area, be it from up top or down in the bottom, what is the issue with that? Which some have done in the past.
Yeah, 2 feet. If you only go 2 feet, then, well, let's put it this way. A lot of sheetrock contractors won't work at 2 feet because they have to work on their hands and knees through the whole house.
Right.
So if they choose to do it, they will charge more for it.
But that may not stop the adjuster from doing that.
Correct. A lot of times that won't stop them. I've seen quite a few. I've seen some that have only allowed 6 inches. Now, I just kind of laugh at those because that's ridiculous. But normal procedure, what I follow, and if I was going to repair the house, it would be at a 4 foot. As long as the water, and if you have flood and you only got 2 feet of water, I'd go to 4 feet, or if you only have a foot of water or 6 inches of water, I'm going to 4 feet, because the sheetrock is beveled at 4 feet in order to make a smooth seam. If you do a butt joint on drywall, and you're not very skilled I should say you're not highly skilled at making good seams, you'll see that butt joint if you do it at 2 feet. You just stand back and look, and you could see that joint through the whole house. So you go to 4 feet, it's a lot more forgiving for the drywall contractor to make the seam, and it always comes out a lot better as far as aesthetics go.
Let's talk about, and I want to go back to the floors a little bit. And I just wanted to follow up on that because the thought just hit me. As far as the floors are concerned, and they want to clean the floors, what is the threshold between the cleaning of the floors and replacing the floors?
Well, it's really just going to depend on the damage. Like real wood floors or any flooring that's made of wood, if water sits on it, like in a flood or so, you're going to cup. They're going to cup. They're going to move because wood expands. You get it with temperature change too, a little bit. That's why when you're going to install a brand new wood flooring, a good flooring installer always brings the wood flooring over to the house several days before he's going to put it in, and it gives the wood time to acclimate to the temperature. And when I say brings it over the house to put in, this is under normal circumstances. But it gives the wood time to acclimate to the climate inside the house, so that when the wood's installed, you don't have those issues with expansion and contraction. It would be the normal issues, not something that's dramatic. So there's a lot of tricks with wood that you have to be careful about. And if you don't know them, you can actually cause yourself some grief. Just for anybody out there that's thinking about putting their own wood floors in, if you don't leave the proper gapping and you put a floating floor or even a glue down floor in, depending on the species, depending on the grain pattern, if it floods again, you can actually destroy your house by the wood floors. The swelling of the wood floors can actually destroy your house by pushing the bottom plates out, and the house could fall. We've seen that a couple of times in houses that were totaled because of that. It's called differential expansion. We've seen that before. And we had a case with one of those, and we wound up getting the house totaled because of it. But so there's a lot of precautions you have to take with wood. It's got to be put in right, and you can't cut corners. You really shouldn't cut corners anyway.
I think we're probably going to have to, Jordan, Cameron, do we have to go to a break?
About 5 minutes.
5 minutes. Okay. Do we have anybody on the phone? Phone lines?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Deborah.
Okay, let's do this. Kevin, can I hold you over? And if they're and if you say on the phone, if they have any questions for you, they can you can chime in. I have one question before we go to Deborah. Deborah.
Okay, because I have one thing I want to say.
Okay, you go ahead.
We were talking about the walls with water and things like that. If your house flooded, okay, and that water got above your outlets, the wiring and the outlets need to be changed. Not just replace an outlet. It all needs to be changed. It's unsafe. It will be a fire hazard if you do not replace the wiring.
Okay.
So I just want to put that out there because you see that a lot. They'll just replace the outlet, not the wire.
Okay, Jeremy, you want to go? We're going to a break?
Break time.
Break time. Let's do that. All right. Go Tigers. Okay, this is Attorney Doug Sunseri here with you through it all. Call or text us at 504-260-1870. We'll be back with continuous coverage of recovery from Hurricane Ida on our Odyssey family of stations on WWLFM.com, the Odyssey app, Magic 101.9, B97, and Bayou 97. And boy, I'm getting fired up. Go Tigers. See you in a few.
After the storm is over, if you think you have wind damage or missing roofing, siding, and gutters, call Vinyl Tech. They have a AAA rating with the BBB, so you know they can be trusted. Yeah. Vinyl Tech has been serving the New Orleans Metro for over 20 years.
Dave said you probably don't have to say the radio station names. We have them in recording.
Gotcha. Okay,
Let us work with you to get your home looking brand new again. I guarantee.
And yeah, we could. We'll go. We have a full slate of phone lines.
Gotcha. Okay.
A couple other one other thing Dave wanted me to mention. Chevron on West Esplanade and Causeway.
Hancock Whitney, we've got your back.
They're on.
They have 6,000 gallons with no line, unleaded only, and cash only.
Chevron and West Esplanade and Causeway.
Right.
Gotcha.
6,000 gallons, no line, unleaded only, and cash cash only.
Okay.
For updates on financial
6,000.
centers, ATMs, disaster recovery assistance loans,
Chevron.
loan deferral programs, and other recovery resources,
Esplanade,
visit
Causeway.
HancockWritten.com/IDA.
6,000.
Louisiana, we've got your back. Hancock Whitney
Gallons,
Bank,
no
member
line.
FDIC and equal housing lender.
Northern Tool and Equipment is open and ready to help.
Hey, I'm
Stop
on
in for
radio.
generators, water pumps, fans, power tools,
No,
scaffolding, and
okay.
more. Supplies
You okay?
are limited. Find us in Metairie at 6851 Veterans Memorial
Turn
Boulevard
on-
or
turn on
Homa
radio
at 1548 Martin Luther King Boulevard.
The International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers Local 130 hopes that this Labor Day you and your loved ones are safe and healthy. Keeping our members and their families safe is a priority at IBEW. So let's all be safe by practicing social distancing, wearing a mask when necessary, and by all means, please get vaccinated. We all know that labor is what makes the country move even during these challenging times. And the members of IBEW Local 130 urge us to give praise to the backbone of this great nation, labor.
Although Hurricane Ida has come and gone, many in greater New Orleans and southeast Louisiana are still without power, without food and water, without air conditioning, some without homes. So WWL and our Odyssey family of stations are partnering with Second Harvest Food Bank to get help to those who need it most. Every dollar you donate will provide 4 disaster meals to aid families, friends, and neighbors in Louisiana. Can you help? Donate now at WWL.com or OdysseyCares.com.
It's hurricane season. Don't get caught without power at your home or business. Get a Kubota or Quiet Power genset up to 150 kW. There are a limited number of generators in stock. Call 800-925-4966 for Gulf Engine or log on to GulfEngine.com.
Shelter insurance policyholders with damage to your home, car, farm, or business due to the hurricane should call 1-800-SHELTER. That's 1-800-743-5837 or report your claim online at shelterinsurance.com. Early reporting of claims is important. Shelter adjusters are able to handle your claim while practicing social distancing. Take whatever reasonable steps you can to protect your property from additional damage and call us at 1-800-SHELTER and report your claim today.
This is an important message from
You got a microphone?
Yeah.
We know
I
how
switched
difficult
over
it is to be
my
without
headset's
Okay, you're
bad.
very low, though.
Patience is
Here, let me get
greatly
this. Is that better?
appreciated. Crews are beginning to restore
Better?
power where possible.
Yep.
And our
Okay, I'm gonna
scouts
pull
are
out my
creating
headphones.
damage reports to build
Actually,
the most effective
a little more
restoration
up would
plan.
be perfect.
Whether you see us in your neighborhood or
Is that,
not, please know that
right here?
we're working hard to
Yeah, I think that's good.
Okay,
power
I'm
to
pulling out
all
my
our
microphone.
customers.
I'm gonna make
For
my
outage and restoration updates,
my
download
microphone
the free
on my headset
Entergy
dead.
app or
So I
visit
can hear you guys, and I'll go on the mic.
EnergyStormCenter.com.
Are you recovering from the recent storms? A metal roof from Adco Metals can last you a lifetime. Think outside the shingles. Adco Metals serves all of Louisiana and Mississippi. Call Adco
Okay.
Metals at 888-858-32.
How does that sound?
Is
that better?
Or visit adcmetals.com.
Can y'all hear me?
Count on the experts at Adco Metals.
Okay. I think we're going to get rid of that.
If you're a State Farm customer affected by the recent hurricane and need to submit a claim, go to statefarm.com, call 1-800-SF-CLAIM, download the State Farm mobile app, or contact your local State Farm agent. With one of the industry's largest catastrophe response teams, State Farm and your agent are ready to help. Go to statefarm.com to start your claim. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Brandon Holly here. Stylish, quality, custom doors.
I think I got rid of the clip.
ReliefWindows.com.
It's the aftermath of Ida on WWL, AMFM.com, and the Odyssey app. Also on Magic 101.9, Bayou 95.7, and B97. Share your storm story on the Oakland Hart Jewelers Talk and Text line, 504-260-1870.
Hey, we're back. Doug Sunseri. Attorney Doug Sunseri, part of the continuous coverage of the recovery from Hurricane Ida on the Odyssey family of stations. And we're back. We'll answer your questions regarding do's and don'ts, insurance policies and insurance claims. We got Kevin Manali here, who is a claims consultant, expert, construction expert. And we got the phone lines. Who we got next, Jammer?
We could do Deborah.
Let's go to Deborah. Deborah, you on the phone? You on WWL and Energy? On the intercom station. So, how can we help you?
I was calling because I was listening at your show, but I wanted to ask you about
Doug, a little bit louder.
I don't know if that's something you guys cover, but I called my insurance adjuster when I got back in town. I left out of town for a few days, and he said that they only will pay you loss of use if you have 50% damage on your house and you couldn't stay in it. I said to him, well, my house is total electric, and they say we won't have electricity for like 21 days to 3 weeks. I said, how is that not 50%? I can't use my stove, my water, hot water, all of that, you know. And I said, I borrowed a generator. I don't know how long I'm going to have it. And then I have a sleep machine that sleep apnea machine that I have to use. He said, well, ma'am, if your house is not damaged over 50%, we cannot pay you loss of use.
Well, that's not the law. And first of all, you have two bites of the apple. First of all, if you have enough damage in your home from wind that makes your house inhabitable, which if you had, water stains on your, or mold, that makes it inhabitable from wind-driven rain maybe coming from your roof. The second part is, so the 50% criteria is not the criteria they use in court. The second aspect you have is civil authority, and that's going to be a hotly contested issue because what parish are you in?
I'm in Ascension Parish in Gonzales.
Did they have a mandatory evacuation in Ascension Parish? Or any type of...
I don't think nobody had a mandatory evacuation. They were just saying that we needed to get out because the thing was coming our way. And so when I left that Saturday. The thing didn't come till that Sunday. And so when I got a call from my neighbor saying that, people were coming back, I came back, but only to find out that there was no electricity, and even our toilet system is like on a MODAD type thing where they have to pump the stuff away. So we couldn't hardly even flush the toilets without doing water and all that. It was just, and I said, well, how is that not 50%? And if I don't have electricity and, everything in my house is total electric.
Okay, here's the bad news. Under the policy, the absence of electricity and utilities does not activate additional living expenses. That's pretty...
Okay.
Okay, now you either have to have a civil authority or you have to have physical damage in your house that would make it temporarily inhabitable. Those are the two criteria. Now, I would argue, first of all, if I was in New Orleans or Jefferson Parish, the mayor said, it's too late to call the evacuation, but get out if you can. And then after the storm, I think Cynthia Shang, Lee said the same thing, is don't come back. We don't have utilities. We don't have gas. And then they said they imposed curfews. So it's our position that that's civil authority. If you call a dog a cat, doesn't make it a cat. And with the policy, what the government officials articulated, it's, in my opinion, under the definition of civil authority. On top of that, President Biden came to town yesterday, or to the state, and he, turned the pressure up on the insurance company saying, hey, you need to, wasn't articulated very well, because he said, whether or not the insurance policy says it or not, you should do that because it's the right thing to do. And I'm saying, the policy does say that, in my opinion. What the government officials did immediately prior to Hurricane Ida and right after does constitute, in my opinion, civil authority. I know that 2 insurance companies are now going to pay additional living expenses. Some are not. So that's a state of flux. Now, how much damage did you have in your house? Annie, did you have roof damage?
I just have a little bit of roof damage on the rear part of my house, on the side where the wind came toward the house.
Do you have any water stain in your sheetrock?
I didn't see any water stain.
You may have a tough problem.
And I was listening to this.
You may have a tough time.
I was listening to this. All right. I was listening to that guy on your show that water could be behind the walls and all that.
Kevin, yeah.
But,
Kevin, you want to jump in?
Well, it stripped the facing around the house. You know how you have the soffit fascia? It stripped that from around there. I can see the wood. I can see insulation or whatever sticking out from under there, but I don't know what damage because it's like a 2-story. I wouldn't be able to get up there and see that.
What I would argue to the insurance company is, especially Ascension Parish, because that was in the bullseye, and that basically the proclamations of government officials was effective civil authority. They recommended you get out. They recommended you do not come back until utilities are restored. They imposed curfews, and that fits the criteria of civil authority. This is where you may want to be the squeaky wheel. And, don't take no for an answer, respectfully. And I think, some of these insurance companies may come around. They may say no at first, but continue, and they may change their position because a lot of people they said no aren't going to follow up for payment. So you do have a challenge.
I have USAA. So
USAA is good.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, USAA has I don't want to compare insurance companies, but I usually get a good response from USAA. You have a family member in the military. Is that correct?
I was in the military.
Okay.
I retired.
So they're a little more will work with you. So what I would tell USAA is under civil authority, this is why I think I should be paid ALE. We were told to get out.
Okay.
I was in the bullseye. And then after I was told not to come back because we don't have utilities. We do not have electricity. We do not have, basic ability to function, no gas, etc. And so therefore, based on those factors, I believe I qualify under civil authority and should get my additional expenses back. Okay?
I appreciate the information.
All right. Well, thanks for the call. Who do we have next, Jammer?
Tracy.
All right, let's go to Tracy. Tracy, you're not on all things legal. You're on the aftermath of a hurricane. Old habits are hard to break. What you got for us, Nancy?
Man.
Tracy, I'm sorry.
Tracy?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Great.
Then Carrie
I don't know how much
and Tim.
longer I have power on my phone, so I'm going to try to make this as quick as possible. We started noticing a while back, like let's say 6 months for the sake of argument, shingles occasionally appearing in our yard. And to make a long story short, we ended up having roof damage from Zeta that we didn't know about. And so we had an adjuster come out. He would not get on my roof. And, I mean, basically, I have a 50-year roof put on after Katrina because I never wanted to fool with it again. And they're calling it a 25-year roof. They're deducting it by 15 years. And now I've got this thing. I was home for this thing. And I listened to the rest of my shingles roll off my roof, except for the front of my roof. So what do? We were on the verge of calling an attorney about the Zeta deal.
Well, you have time.
But now I've got another freaking hurricane. What do I do?
What is your deductible? And my question is you got to find that out.
Deals with this normally because, he's a nurse, and so he's unable to deal with anything right now.
Okay.
Find out information.
Okay, that's the first thing you need to do because you got to find out if your deductible's more. I mean, as far as payment, I would report it because if you have another storm, you can use the damage before to eat up your deductible if we have God forbid another storm. Okay, that would be one reason to report it. Number two, you have 2 years from Zeta to file a claim, a lawsuit for the roof. Now, It may or may not be worth it to file a lawsuit based on your deductible. If you have a $20,000 deductible and you got a $16,000 roof, it's not worth it to file a suit.
No, I've got like a $70,000 roof that I put on after.
Oh, it's $70,000?
Yes, sir. A 50-year roof.
Okay, well then, if they said
giving me less money, I can't even put in on a 3-tab right now.
Okay, here's
what they're giving me from Zeta.
Let me give you the answer. They obviously said that your roof was okay in Zeta, except for the patch. So now, if you get someone else who said your roof has failed and needs to be repaired, then you have a baseline as to what the roof was before and what it's now, and it should be replaced. I would dare say that in Ascension Parish, where you received 110, 115 mile-an-hour winds, your roof probably...
No, sir, I was in Orleans.
Or Orleans, okay, 80, 90 mile-an-hour, 100 mile-an-hour winds. There's a good chance that your roof would need to be replaced. So what I would do is report the claim, get your adjuster up there, and see what he does. If they say no...
Originally,
Well,
originally, the insurance company said it was a 25.
Carrie and Tim
Okay.
are next.
Okay.
I know
Well,
for a
here.
fact it wasn't.
Okay. We're going to go to Carrie, and we're going to take you off the phone. I'm going to take you off the line. But here's what you need to do: file your claim and see what the insurance company does. If they get you another roof, you take it and run. If they don't, and you feel like that you've hit a dead end, then you may want to see legal help. Okay. And there'll be a lot of lawyers who'll be glad to take that case. All right. Thanks for the call. Let's go to Carrie. Hey, Carrie, you on the aftermath of Hurricane Ida?
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Look, I'm calling on behalf of my 82-year-old daddy.
Mm-hmm.
He's been with this insurance company for 30 plus years, okay? And last year, I'm terminally ill.
Okay.
But my mother had passed in 2018,
Mm-hmm.
and I went into a coma, and they thought it was because of my illness. But after I woke up, by the grace of God, I woke up out of the coma, okay? And my daughter wanted this picture that was behind my door. And I went to pick it up, and I noticed the carpet was damp.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we've done had the roof repaired out of our pocket twice, okay? And I said, oh, my goodness, something's wrong, because the picture was all wavy, and I just got it made. And lo and behold, he pulls the sheetrock off, a piece of the sheetrock, and there's black mold everywhere.
And
we had to replace floor joists, and they told us it was our fault because it was a maintenance problem.
Okay, when was the event that you think it caused this damage? What event? Was it Zeta?
What I'm asking is, every time I've tried to make a claim with Foremost, they've denied it.
Okay. I gotta help. I want to help you, and I need the information. Okay, the information that I need is what event do you think caused the initial damage? Was it Zeta? Was it a rainstorm before then? After then? When?
I don't know, hon.
Well,
I really
you see,
don't
you're
know.
going to have one of the things you'll have to do is get a date of loss, because you can't file a claim against an insurance company and say my roof is trashed, but I don't know when it occurred. You're going to have to get a date of loss. Now, sometimes you could say, hey, before Zeta, I didn't have water stain. After Zeta, I had water stain. You're going to have to forensically, in some way, tie it to a storm or an event in order to have your insurance coverage.
And now, in the kitchen, I noticed there's water damage because they got this cheap wood flooring down, and it's so soft, I can barely step on it.
Well, did that happen after Ida?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Get your adjuster out there. File your claim and get out there. Get them out there.
And
Kevin,
they were supposed to be here yesterday, and nobody called me. Nobody showed up.
Well, be the squeaky wheel and be persistent. Be a pain in the rear end. Kevin, you there? Oh,
yeah, I'm still here.
Yeah, what advice do you have on this lady?
Well, like you right on, spot on. File the claim, and let's see what the insurance adjuster does. If they deny the claim,
Tim is next.
Then, that opens up a whole nother legal can of worms that any good attorney could probably take it and run with it and get you some money.
Okay, thanks for the call. Let's go to Tim. Tim, you on the aftermath or recovery from Hurricane Ida? How can we help you?
Yes, sir. I just wanted to give you all some information. I own the Chevron location before the causeway. It's called CJM's. And I just wanted to let everybody know that I do have fuel and that we do have entrance from West Esplanade, and we're limiting everybody to $100 maximum on cash only because all the systems are down.
So that's Chevron and Causeway and West Esplanade, right?
That's correct. So just to let everybody know.
And you got 6,000 gallons. Dave Cohen told me to say that. Dave Cohen gave me that information to come out of break. And being me functionally ADD,
I'm so glad you called because I'm looking at the notes now.
It is on the ball, man.
So I get
No
distracted
line,
easy.
unlimited, unleaded only, and cash only.
All right,
Okay.
Brian. I appreciate the job y'all doing right now, letting everybody stay in tune.
Okay, unleaded only, cash only.
Anybody needs gas, the Chevron station at West Esplanade
Gotcha.
and Causeway has it.
Gotcha. Okay.
Right now.
My
Cash
apologies.
only, 100%.
Doyce is next.
Okay, Doyce.
Yeah.
You
Cash
on
only.
Thank you for taking my call.
Okay, sweetie. What you got for us?
Trying to find out the difference between high winds and hurricane winds. Because apparently, I don't have coverage for the wind damage from Hurricane Ida.
Who's your insurance company?
Allstate.
And
it's come in my house.
have they
ripped
told?
underneath my window sills, all down my kitchen, everything.
Okay,
I had tiles
did you
brought
file a
down
claim?
on my kitchen and everything.
Did
I
you?
told them up. They told me, that's when they told me yesterday. Well,
You don't have
don't
coverage
have
for what? Hurricane or high winds?
wind. Yeah. No, they just said I don't have coverage for winds.
On is it a flood policy?
On this hurricane.
Is it?
No, I don't need it.
Okay, so they told you that you have coverage for high winds, but not a named storm. I've never heard that
They said
before.
I have no coverage for any kind of winds.
On what basis? Non-payment or for what reason?
They didn't say. I said, what do you mean I don't have? What did I just pay your insurance? $330.32 last month. That's part of your insurance.
All right.
was
Here's my
so
suggestion.
upset.
Here's my suggestion. I mean, you either find out what's the basis of the denial. You're going to have to be persistent and find out why they are denying your claim and ask them to put it in writing and send it to you. And when they send it to you, I'd suggest you consult an attorney. Okay. All right. Kevin, I got a quick text for you. It says, "Hi, I'm Gina from Raceland, which was hit very bad. My question is part of the roof shingles and plywood that blew off. Before we knew the roof flew off, the water was pouring out of the baseboards. We have plywood and sheetrock. Should we pull the walls down before the mold set in?"
It's going to take the mold a little while.
Joe is
I
next.
wouldn't pull it down until after your adjuster sees it. That way you can explain to him exactly what the damages were, where the water was coming from. You know, it's there. He can see it. Mold's going to take a little while to manifest, and then, you know, I would pull it out as soon as your adjuster sees it. He gets everything he needs to get. I would take it out. Take pictures of it while you take it out. Take pictures of anything that's wet inside the walls, in the roof, anything that's wet, insulation. Take pictures of everything. And then deal with the adjuster and insurance company again on a secondary basis. Basically, they'll give you your first claim, what he sees, and you'll get your check and your damage estimate from him. And then we'll take it. You can take it from there.
Okay, Kevin.
Anything else that's additional.
I got a tough question for you. What if they don't get out there for 4 to 6 weeks?
Well, then what I would do is photograph everything really well. Go ahead and take it down, or make a video of you actually taking it down and point to all the wet areas and everything, and just take it down and get it out. And then when they come, you'll have to play him the video or show him all the photographs, and he'll have to do his estimate based on that. Again, the problem is you're getting rid of the evidence, and that's where sometimes you have issues. Photographs might be good enough. Your adjuster might be a nice guy. He might be a good adjuster and put it all in. It's a gamble. It's a game. You just don't know until it happens.
Now, here's what we did in one situation with the tree on a roof where waters continue to come in. We wrote a letter, or I had the homeowner write a letter to the adjuster saying, "There's a tree in my roof and is exposed to the environment. The damages are continuing to get worse. And so therefore, if you would like to come before we pull the tree off and view the damages, we're pulling it off, Thursday. and at least put them on notice as to what you're doing and why.
Good idea.
So that, in your case, Gina, if you don't get a sense that the claims adjuster is going to respond to you, what I would recommend you do is write a letter saying, we're exposed to the elements. Water continues to pour in. We're concerned about mold. We're concerned how it's going to affect us. So therefore, we intend to start remediating and tearing out, Monday, September, 7th. And if you would like to send an adjuster before we do that, please do so. If you decline to send an adjuster, we gave you notice. And so at least when the insurance company says we didn't have a chance to do it, you have a letter requesting them to come out, and they declined to do so. So I think that's one way of dealing with that. How long do we have, Jammer?
We've got about 3 minutes.
3 minutes. Who's next on the call?
Joe.
All right, let's go to Joe. You got the 3-minute warning. Okay, what do you got for us?
All righty. What I have an in-ground swimming pool. It has leaves, tiles, and other debris in there. Same scenario that Hurricane Katrina had. Of course, that was under the flood policy. I understand Kevin says it's a different animal. So what could I expect when the homeowner adjuster comes out? Same conditions in the pool, because it stains the plaster, and they gave me last time to replaster my pool. So what could I expect?
I think the question would be, can maintenance clean it up, or does it have some type of long-term issue that needs to be addressed as far as the pool's concerned? And I think if you do whether you have to, the maintenance, would that be under the policy, Kevin? I think that's sort of iffy. But
no, I don't think maintenance is.
Yeah. So if just pulling out a bunch of debris, I don't think you get, and getting it, balanced again with the chemicals, I don't think that would be covered. But if it does have some type of defect, what do you got, Kevin? What do you think?
No, pools are real technical and real strange. Some will pay for a replaster, some won't. It starts to get into the chemistry of the pool, how long it sits with the water being out of balance, how much calcium is in the pool. Normally what happens if it's an in-ground gunite pool is that since the chemistry is off, if the chemistry is off, then the water itself is looking for calcium, and it will leach the calcium out of the plaster. And that's why you get all those pock marks, I call them, if you're probably over 50 or up. It's like
this phone is bad, Doug.
Okay.
We used to get when we were little.
Okay, Kevin, we're going to have you drop off the phone. The phone's dead. But basically, I think Kevin was talking about, the gunite and the plaster. And if it's defected, you're going to have to get a pool expert to say that, that the pool was damaged, from the storm, and it needs these type of repairs, or, and then this is how much it's going to cost. And so as long as there's causation between the storm and the damage, they should pay for it. But you're going to have to get it documented by a pool expert or your pool contractor. So, sort of
coming out.
Yeah. So
the thing is, we don't have electricity, so we can't get the flowers. Nothing's working, and it's turning green out of the pool.
Yeah, and what you do is first of all, pull the debris out to the best you can, clean that out, and you at least you're mitigating and doing your part to mitigate the damages.
Mm-hmm.
Now, but if there's some type of permanent defect because of that, even because the pump was off, and it's something with the plaster, the gunite that's tied to that, they should pay for that.
Mm-hmm.
So that there you are. So thanks for the call. I want to thank Kevin Manali, who was with us this past hour. Just sort of giving tips on, claims adjusters as far as damage, hidden damage, how to deal with hidden damage, readjustments. Appreciate the help. Kevin's done about 2,000 estimates for us, and he's done a bang up job, and he's been through the wars. All right, this is attorney Doug Sunseri here with you through it all. Part of continuous coverage of recovery from Hurricane Ida. Odyssey's family of radio stations, and we're going to be back after news in about 7 minutes. Stay tuned, and we got one more hour, and then after that, we got LSU football. We're fired up there. So we'll see you in about 7 minutes, and in an hour, we're going to have LSU football, and go Tigers!
Continuing coverage of the aftermath of Ida on 870 AM WWL
Hey, guys.
New Orleans, 105.3
I think the microphone stopped clicking, huh?
Kenner, New Orleans, WLMG and WLMG HD1 New Orleans, WKB
Hey, Jammer.
and WKBU HD1 New Orleans, and WEZB and WEZB HD1 New Orleans. Odyssey stations.
WWL First News. It's 2 o'clock. I'm Tom Perumian on your official weather station, WWL AM, FM, and .com.
Today will feature plenty of sunshine, but it will be very hot. Temperatures are expected to warm into the lower 90s today, but thankfully, because drier air moved in yesterday, it will remain in place throughout the weekend, keeping our humidity values in check. So it won't be as humid, but still very hot. A heat advisory in effect today, and it will be in effect throughout the rest of the afternoon.
WWL TV meteorologist Michelle Morgan's local weather expert forecast is coming up. A New Orleans man is in jail charged with murdering a man after a dispute over cutting in line at a gas station in Metairie.
I might have somebody calling the
WWL's
inside
Chris Miller
line.
reports the sheriff says the accused shooter
John
is the
Blanchard
one who
from
skipped
Rock'n'Roll.
ahead in the gas line.
Need people to act like adults.
Jefferson Parish Sheriff Joe Lapinto says that did not happen Friday at a Chevron station on Clearview Parkway. He says when 20-year-old Walter Scipio cut in line, he was confronted by another man. The argument escalated, and the sheriff says it ended when Scipio shot and killed 36-year-old Dwayne Nosaka. He says it's a pointless waste of life.
If you need to go get gas, be patient, wait in line like everybody else.
The sheriff says they've had a few disputes, but none this violent, but said it shouldn't happen at all if people would just act like grown-ups.
The 20-year-old Scipio turned himself in to Jefferson Parish Sheriff's in Metairie. Gasoline is still the commodity everybody is after. WWL's Kevin Gallagher has this update on efforts to keep stations topped off.
First and foremost, there are still yet too few gas stations with power on so you can get gas. Entergy says that should improve over the weekend, but other stations are running out of gas. Exxon Baton Rouge spokesperson Stephanie Cargile says there's plenty of gas at their terminal. The problem's getting it delivered. She says they have thousands of barrels of gas readily available, and they're doing what they can to get you your fuel.
We're working with our distributors to get other states to send us more trucks to help with this issue.
Kevin Gallagher, WWL First News.
The owner of 7 Louisiana nursing homes that were evacuated to a warehouse where 4 residents died after Hurricane Ida faced prior criticism after a prior evacuation-related deaths 2 decades ago. State health officials have launched an investigation into the deaths at a warehouse facility in Tangipahoa Parish where 843 residents from 7 of Robert Dean's nursing facilities were sent before Ida roared ashore in southeast Louisiana. Attorney General Jeff Landry said Friday that his office has also started its own review of the evacuation decisions. Plenty of people have had it with the wait to get their power on, and with schools and businesses closed and a holiday weekend upon us, many of them are getting out of town, as WWL's Dave Cohen found at Armstrong New Orleans International Airport.
There are many people here at the airport, but there are folks lined up dropping passengers off for departures out of New Orleans. A handful of flights are taking off, and people who have had enough are leaving for now. Some tell me they're never coming back.
Yes,
I'm here. This is Ian.
Okay. Did Blanchard call?
No
John
power
Blanchard
and
inside
gasoline
line?
shortages seem to be the biggest problems.
Haven't heard from him yet.
Right
Okay,
now,
he
this
may
is according
call.
to
If
Mike
he
Steele
jumps
the
in,
governor's
just
emergency preparedness office. He says once that gets resolved,
I'll let you know.
life gets much closer to
how's the microphone? Is that working better?
Sound great.
Because the clicking is going. It's an old headset. One of them went out.
The old headset problem.
Yeah, one went out and the other one's dying. So I bought a microphone.
Entergy expects
as a backup.
most of New Orleans
Redundancy,
and
right?
Jefferson Parish to be
And
restored by
I didn't hook
Wednesday.
the microphone
But it
on the
will
headset,
likely
so
be near the end of the month before
I just hooked in
harder
the
hit areas get their power back.
the headset, but not the
CBS News
microphone.
Brief. Lake Tahoe is usually among the busiest destinations for the Labor Day holiday, but
I credit my
Andy
De La Salle
Chapman at a
education to
visitors
that.
bureau there says a massive wildfire has everything shut down.
We're telling folks, love us from afar right now. Come back and visit us here soon.
Hostility is becoming deadly in Louisiana,
we
where
have on the
one
line?
man was killed in a dispute over gas
say again?
thanks to a
we
shortage
have on
after
the phone
Hurricane
line?
Ida. This man is in line
Next
at the
up
Shell
is
station.
David.
We've been here since '85 for Katrina, for this storm. And you head north, and then when storm's over, you head south.
How are you holding up?
Doing good. Everybody's frustrated, but we're fine.
This electrical worker trying to get the power back on in Baton Rouge needs some help himself.
Has anybody got a couple rooms they want to rent out to a few linemen? Or maybe just let us take a shower there.
In some areas, the power could be off until the end of the month. The death toll from the hurricane is up to
David
62.
is next, and I'll feed
CBS
him
News
to you after that.
and Allison Keys.
Well, a whole heap.
And you may my preferred way of doing this, Doug, just so you know, is like you'll say, "Let's go to David on line one," and then as David is saying, "Hey, Doug, thanks for having me on the show," that's when I'll jump in your ear and tell you who's next.
Okay, in the Rose Bowl tomorrow night, their season opener. Sports travel maven Jim Duggan says he's organized a charter flight to L.A. that left Thursday from Baton Rouge.
There's a few stadiums and a few trips that are on the bucket list of true Tiger fans, and certainly, this Rose Bowl is especially one.
In the Baton Rouge Bureau, Kevin Gallagher, WWL First News.
And you can catch that game coming up right here on WWL this evening. Kickoff is at 7:30. Here's Jeff Palermo with WWL Sports.
Louisiana Radio Network Sports, I'm Jeff Palermo. It's the first Saturday of the college football season, and the 16th ranked LSU Tigers are looking to start the season on a good note as the Bayou Bengals visit the UCLA Bruins in the Rose Bowl. Max Johnson will make his third start at quarterback after throwing for 674 yards and 6 touchdowns and 1 interception in 2 starts last season. Coach Ed Orgeron on Johnson's development.
I think the understanding of offense, Jake has done a great job. Learning how to stay in the pocket, learning his reads. And I just hope he finds Keyshawn Booth. I think he'll be fine if he does that.
Kickoff is at 7:30. At 3:30 today, 23rd ranked UL Lafayette will tangle with 21st ranked Texas in Austin. The Cajuns are coming off a 10-1 season, and they bring a 7-game winning streak into the Lone Star State. It's Steve Sarkisian's first game as head coach of Texas.
Slight change. We're going to go to Greta first. Okay. Greta is next.
Now, your Garcia Roofing forecast on WWL.
Not a bad weekend across southeast Louisiana. Dry air over the area. That's going to keep our humidity values tolerable today and also tomorrow. Still going to be hot. My forecast high in the lower 90s under mostly sunny conditions. Now, a heat advisory will be in effect today, so many areas will feel like 101, 102 degrees. So make sure you're continuing to practice heat safety, drinking plenty of water while you're outside. A few stray showers are possible, but many of us will remain pretty dry throughout the day. Tomorrow, another sunny day and hot. Temperatures once again climbing into the lower 90s, and that dry air is expected to remain over the area, keeping our dew points in check. Can't rule out a stray shower or two, but it will be pretty dry throughout the rest of the afternoon. From your local weather expert forecast center, I'm WWL TV meteorologist Michelle Morgan.
Sunny and 91 south of the lake, 92 under mostly sunny skies on the North Shore.
That's all right.
I'm Tom Permian, WWL First News.
On WWL-AM-FM.com and the Odyssey app, Louisiana's official emergency management station, it's continuing coverage of the aftermath of Ida. Live from our Jefferson Financial Federal Credit Union studios. Also on Magic 101.9, Bayou 95.7, and B97. Connect now on the Oakland Hart Jewelers Talk and Text line, 504-260-1870. Back to Team WWL.
All right, Attorney Doug Sunseri, part of continuous coverage of the recovery from Hurricane Ida on Odyssey's family of radio stations. We're here today to talk about insurance questions, do's and don'ts, and how to maximize your claim, and even questions about contractors. Also, and I was supposed to do this the other 2 hours, and I apologize, but second harvester, Hurricane Ida has left many of us in the greater New Orleans area and southeast Louisiana hurting. As power is strategically restored, we have hope, but many are suffering. No food, no power and water, no air conditioning, and some with no homes. Man, we got some extreme heat. That's why WWL and the Odyssey family of radio stations are partnering with Second Harvest Food Bank to get the support people who desperately need it. Every dollar you donate will help provide 4 disaster meals to aid families. If you're in a position to help family, friends, and neighbors in Louisiana, please go to WWL.com or odysseycares.com now to donate. And Jay Weiss, who used to be an employee of Intercom, WWL, is I think he's the spokesman for Second Harvester, and he's done a great job, and he's got a really heart for New Orleans, and consider that. Also, Oh, I love this. Today, LSU kicks off the season with UCLA Bruins, the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, California. Let's take a break from Ida and cheer on the Tigers. We got Christian Garrick, and Christian's done a great job. He's got range. He does sports. He does news. Did hurricane coverage. He's got many dimensions. He's done a phenomenal job with Bobby Hebert and also Herb Tyler. So for the pregame coverage, Chris Blair takes over at 5:30 with the LSU Sports Network, and kickoff is at 7:30. Now, just a quick anecdote about the LSU-UCLA game. My uncle Larry Duplass, retired attorney, and his sons are Jay Duplass and Mark Duplass, who many of the younger guys might know him from HBO and their many movies. And he lives 1 mile for the Rose Bowl. And we were supposed to go there for the Rose Bowl, and we were going to meet up with Larry and the family. And he's saying the local media is all over UCLA and saying LSU does not have a chance. So let's prove the local media wrong. All right. So let's go to phone lines. Let's go to Greta. She's got a question. Hey, Greta, you're on the aftermath
Hey, good
of
afternoon,
Hurricane
Doug.
Ida.
Can you hear me okay?
I hear you great.
Can you hear me?
I hear you great. What you got for us?
Go ahead and turn up your volume, Doug.
I was hoping to ask Kevin, but I think you might be able to help me. I have, I think, a 20-year-old roof. I'm actually near auction, and we got electricity, so I'm in good shape there. My house is intact, but a number of my neighbors lost roofing, and I looked at my house, and it seems that this was put on after Katrina. It's the only claim I've made for my house since '84.
Yes.
But it looks like there's a separation at the valley of the gable in the back from the eave. And I do remember you saying earlier, I think it was you, that the seal tab roofs, if you have sufficient enough wind sustained, that they get compromised. So I'm wondering, is this something I should file a claim with my insurance and at least have them inspect it?
Absolutely. Well, I think they can inspect it, and I think you ought to get your own inspection because you got two issues.
I was going to ask that before.
Well, you got two issues. You got the issue of the seal tabs that don't seal anymore. So what part of town are you in?
I'm just a block or two from Oxnard.
Okay.
In Jefferson.
I would say that you probably had 100-mile-an-hour gust. You probably had sustained winds probably in the 80s and 90s. A lot of roofs can't withstand that. I think more roofs than not could withstand that, especially gusts, sustained winds in the 90s for more than 5 minutes. And you would probably have the issue regarding the seal tabs. As far as the separation from the gables, that's more of a structural issue and a racking issue. So you would initially get a roofing contractor and let him take a look at it. And if the roofing contractor indicates that there may be some structural integrity problems.
Very quickly, Doug, I'm looking at it. It just looks like the shingles are pushed up about a couple of inches.
Well, that's a couple of inches too much. Once they're unsealed, they're worthless. Okay, because what happens when the next wind comes? It's going to be waving at you like
lost shingles. So I think it was sufficient wind. My neighbors lost shingles, so I totally lost them. I didn't lose any. They seem intact from the exterior. But I don't want to hold you too long. Please continue.
No, so the next time you have a rainstorm, the shingles are going to look like they're waving to you goodbye. All right, they're going to be flapping up and down because they're not sealed. And if that's happening, that's where the water gets in, and that's where you're going to get leaks.
Well, my neighbor's in construction, and he had a roofer just roof his house, so I'm going to have that roofer inspect it, and then I will contact my insurance company.
Now, I will tell you this. I'm going to have a roofing expert on tomorrow, I think around 1 o'clock, Eric White. And he's going to talk about the issues regarding the roof in the Lake Charles storm. And he said that's probably the most hotly contested issue. Is, a lot of roofers were saying, you can patch, need a new roof, or a lot of insurance companies, or they're saying that it was already, normal wear and tear and those type of issues. And so the roofs may be a little bit of a fight. And, and what the roofers do to determine the experts to do the seal tabs is they get up there and they start pulling shingles up. And if they come up and they're not adhesive, they can probably do 10 or 15 of them, and they'll know already. So I would say, from a percentage standpoint, and I'm not saying there's going to be more roofs that need to be replaced than not. And I don't think.
Let me ask you this. I'm sorry.
And I think you're going to have to advocate for your position. You might have to get a roofer. If you could find a roofer who testified in court before, that would be great.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't want to advise. I mean, I'm prepared if I have to out of pocket or whatever, replace my roof. It's been there since Katrina. It's my only claim I've ever placed since '84 on this house, period. But nevertheless, if it doesn't qualify, it won't qualify.
Well, but don't let their initial no be the final answer.
I see.
Okay, so you know.
Well, I'm fortunate. My house is intact. These houses were built in right after World War II.
It doesn't matter.
They're pretty sturdy with plaster.
Look, you paid premium. They accepted your roof. Okay, so that's what you paid for. And a lot of people take, what maybe the insurance company does at first is gospel, and you have to advocate for your position. And I would say,
get an expert opinion about the condition and the wind and whatever before I contact my insurance company.
No, contact the insurance company now. Do it now. You're not going to. Your premium's not going to go up. You're not going to have any effect on your premium because it's a mass disaster. Jim Donlin came on TV several times saying, "Do not file a claim because you're worried about that." They have laws to protect that. So do that and file your claim. And look. If you get a roofing contractor, if you got a roofing contractor who's in the business, he may get up there and say, no, you need a new roof. And then you got the issue as to your deductible, whether it exceeds your deductible or not, but $70,000 it will. And then the second thing, if they say no, get your own person up there. And then they write a report. And if they still don't do it, then you go, when you feel like you hit a brick wall, that's when you call an attorney. And I'm going to cover that too later.
Thank you so much. And I'll check back. You said it was who again tomorrow at 1?
Eric White. He's a roofing consultant, roofing expert.
Okay. I may call back. Otherwise, I think you've been very helpful. And thank y'all for being available to all of us.
Okay. I want to touch on something quick before we take our next call.
Yes, sir.
No, just in general. But thank you for the call. Is that people say, when do I hire an attorney? And I'm going to speak against our own self-interest. You may want to talk to an attorney, to consult as far as pointing you in the right direction. And that's what we're trying to do today and tomorrow. But when do you hire an attorney for a claim? When you get to that point, when you feel like you're not going to get another dime out the insurance company, when you feel like there's no possible way and you've hit that wall, that's when you hire an attorney. Now, you may want to consult with one, have them point you in the right direction, answer some acute questions in the meantime, but you really don't need to hire one until you feel like you've hit that brick wall and that you're entitled to more under your policy and they won't give it to you. And so that may be next month, 6 months, a year, who knows? But everybody's different. Because once you hire an attorney, you're gonna, they take a percentage, and it's to a certain extent you'll get extra recovery. But they take their fee out of the extra recovery. So what you do is just when you hit that brick wall, if they, in your case, if the claims adjuster doesn't, provide you a new roof, you get your own expert who says you need a new roof because it was because of Hurricane Ida. They say no. Then you ask for maybe a second adjustment to someone to put a second set of eyes on it from the insurance company. And then they say no. Then that might be a point in time where you decide to get another attorney or get an attorney.
I'll tell you what, Doug, I'm just concerned about the integrity of my roof.
Well, that's right.
So I appreciate that.
And you can
do that.
And if you can, get it fixed, and then
yes, sir.
Get it from the insurance company after. So you protect your integrity, and you still can get reimbursed. So
thank you. You've been very kind.
Okay,
I appreciate that information.
All right, who we got next?
We better take a break.
Okay, next is a break. All right, this is Attorney Doug Sunseri, part of continuous coverage for recovery of Hurricane Ida on an Odyssey family of radio station. We're here through it all. Call us or text us 504-260-1870, and we'll be back with continuous coverage of the recovery of Hurricane Ida after this brief time out.
After the storm is over, if you think you have
Mr. Doug,
missing roofing,
yes,
siding, and gutters, Call Vinyltech. They have a AAA rating. With
I have just learned that we are going to be carrying Governor Edwards' press conference beginning at 2:30.
Local exterior specialist.
So
It's a shame
we will come back,
Vinyltech. Let us
and
work
I'll
with
jump in
you
your
to
ear
get
and
your
tell you
home
when it's
looking
time to go to the
brand
governor. And at that
Guarantee
time, you can
you'll be
just,
satisfied.
say,
Call
and
me,
let's go now
Shane
live to
Malcolm
Governor
at
John Bell
Vinyltech,
Edwards in Livingston Parish.
469-7590. And online at
But
Vinyltech.
y'all going to LSU coverage at 3, right?
That is correct.
Okay.
If you're
Christian is going to come on at 3. We won't actually.
No,
go
yeah,
to
you're going to
LSU.
to WWL's coverage pregame. Then you
right,
go to
exactly right. We'll go to
Okay.
WWL's pregame at 3,
All right.
and then
or contact your local
LSU at 5:30.
with one of the industry's
Who's up
largest
next?
catastrophe response teams.
David is next.
Agent are ready to help. Go to statefarm.com to start your claim.
All right.
And I think when we get David on, you may enjoy telling him, "Hey, we're going to get interrupted by the governor here any second, so let's just try and get through this quickly."
The storm is
because it kind of sucks to be in the middle of a conversation with somebody and then have to jump out.
Hanging or downed power lines. These
I wish I had remembered to tell you about this sooner.
Oh, no, that's fine.
Downed line is energized. Stay away.
Also, you may enjoy reminding people, because a bunch of people on hold here. You may enjoy telling them, "Hey, you'll be back on tomorrow doing the same thing." So if they don't get on the air today, call back tomorrow.
Store your power. At Cleco, they're working to keep you safe before, during, and after the storm.
Northern Tool and Equipment is open and ready to help. Stop in for generators, water pumps, fans, power tools, scaffolding, and more. Supplies are limited. Find us in Metairie at 6851 Veterans Memorial Boulevard or Homa at 1548 Martin Luther King Boulevard.
At Hancock Whitney, we've got your back. From Homa to New Orleans, we quickly mobilized our associates and partners, offering much-needed meals and water to the community. And we've already deployed over $2.5 million to support recovery efforts. We've got your banking needs covered too via mobile and online banking. For updates on financial centers, ATMs, disaster recovery assistance loans, loan deferral programs, and other recovery resources, visit HancockWhitney.com/IDA. Louisiana, we've got your
I'm
back.
assuming Governor Edwards is going to go more than half an hour because I'll hang.
Hurricane Ida has come
I'll
and
hang
gone.
if
Yeah,
there's like
that's
5 minutes.
best. That's kind of standard practice is for the host to hang out just in case.
Yeah.
If
I'm
we
gonna
lose the feed or if he finishes early unexpectedly, we want to have somebody to go back to.
So WWL
Thank you.
our Odyssey family of stations are partnering with Second Harvest Food Bank to get help to those who need it most. Every dollar you donate will provide 4 disaster meals to aid families, friends, and neighbors in Louisiana. Can you help? Donate now at WWL.com or OdysseyCares.com.
Shelter insurance policyholders with damage to your home, car, farm, or business due to the hurricane should call 1-800-SHELTER. That's 1-800-743-5837 or report your claim online at shelterinsurance.com. Early reporting of claims is important. Shelter adjusters are able to handle your claim while practicing social distancing. Take whatever reasonable steps you can to protect your property from additional damage and call us at 1-800-SHELTER to report your claim today.
It's hurricane season. Don't get caught without power at your home or business. Get a Kubota or Quiet Power genset up to 150 kW. There are a limited number of generators in stock. Call 800-925-4966 for Gulf Engine or log on to golfengine.com.
This is Jared Freeman, President and CEO of OnPath Federal Credit Union. Hurricane Ida dealt us an extreme blow, but at OnPath, nothing is stopping us from serving our members. We're proud to say that we're open for business and so thankful for our employees who are working around the clock to ensure our members have access to their accounts and emergency funds. There will be many long days ahead, but today we are thankful. We're here to help. Go to beyondpath.org for more information or find us on Facebook, OnPath Federal Credit Union.
This is an important message from Entergy. As we work to restore your service, please make safety your top priority. Portable generators should never be connected directly to a home's wiring, as this could send electricity back into the power lines where Entergy crews are working. For more information on generator safety, download the free Entergy app or visit EntergyStormCenter.com.
Brandon Holly here. Siding, windows, even doors. ReliefWindows.com.
Back to coverage of the aftermath of Ida on WWL, the Big 870 AM, 105.3 FM, WWL.com, and the Odyssey app. Also on Magic 101.9, Bayou 95.7, and B97. Connect with us on the Oakland Heart Jewelers Talk and Text line, 504-260-1870.
Hey, we're back. Doug Sunseri back with the recovery from Hurricane Ida insurance segment here. First of all, we're going to cut away in a few minutes to Governor Edwards, who's in Livingston Parish. He's going to hold a press conference. So we're going to cut away probably in about 3 or 4 minutes, 5 minutes. And so if there's a lot of people on hold right now, if we can't get to you today, I'll be back on at noon tomorrow, noon to 3, the same time. And so we'll, call back and we'll get you there. But in the meantime, let's go to David. David, make it quick because Governor Edwards might interrupt you at any time.
All right, let's go Tigers.
Go Tigers.
So, I have a detached garage.
Another David is next.
It's already in pretty bad condition. It was staying in and it was useful to me. And next to it is a covered patio. The hurricane removed the roofing on both part of the roofing on both the detached garage and the covered patio. And I want to temper my expectations when my adjuster arrives. Like, I don't expect, to get like a full replacement cost for it because it was already in, some very weathered condition. So what can you tell me?
Your expectation is anything that was pre-existing, you don't get. Anything that's new, you get reimbursed for. Now, the question is, how do you differentiate the two? So, the ultimate correct expectation would be if it wasn't damaged before and it was damaged in Ida, you should be reimbursed for it. If you had pre-existing situation or wear and tear, you don't get it. It's very simple. So if you had new roof damage, you should get it. If your sheetrock was impaired or they had some type of dysfunction to it, or you may or may not get it. If it got wet, you may get it. But if it was there and it wasn't touched by the storm, obviously you don't get it. There's 3 buckets. There's buckets of you're definitely going to get it. There's a bucket of you're not going to get it. And there's a bucket of 50-50, can go either way. And when we go to court, we're usually fighting over that 50-50 issue. And a lot of times we settle at 50-50 or some component of that. So you have really 3 buckets of classification of damages. There's some damages that everybody agrees with, the insurance companies and the homeowner. This is hurricane damage. You have a bucket that the parties say, no, it wasn't. We agree to that. And then there's the bucket of it could go either way. And that's what we fight over. So, that's where you have to persuade and advocate. So, if you had a little damage and then it got wet, could go either way. There's certain factors there, and that's part of the advocacy process is to, help that 50-50 issue fall your way. Now, when we deal with 50-50 issues and when we had Kevin and we have our other adjusters, they negotiate. Like any other negotiation, they start doing horse trading. I'll give you this wall, but you're not going to get that wall. I'll give you this part of the floor, but I'm not going to give you the floor in the living room. And that's the part toward the end where you negotiate and you cut a deal and you move on. So, you have those 3 buckets, and it sounds like a lot of damage in that old garage is going to be in that 50-50 bucket. And, you might have to cut a deal. So that's the best advice for you.
Okay.
All right. Thanks for the call.
Let me ask you another quick question.
Yeah, sure. What you got?
So regarding services that we're paying for, like cable, we're not receiving right now.
Yes.
What do we do about that?
Well, I don't know what Cox or Charter is going to do about that. I don't know. Cox is regulated by the city council, and most of the cable companies are regulated, by their council. I think that's an issue that they're going to address. And, it's a very good argument to call up and say, look, I don't have cable service. You don't provide, I shouldn't be charged for it. And, I think under certain circumstances, if they continue to do that, they'll probably have a group of lawyers who will decide, let's take a crack at it. So I would also talk to your council person who's regulating them, and say, what's the deal? What are y'all going to do as far as dealing with Cox or, Charter, and how you're going to deal with that issue? So I would start maybe with the council person or whoever's regulating the utility, or even the Public Service Commission. and then, find out what they're going to do. If they decide to charge, then, you can deal with it from the political side, as far as, making your council person aware of it. Or, look, man, there's a lot of lawyers here, a lot of smart lawyers who will, take that cause and run with it. So you might, it might be a situation like that. So, that's how you would deal with the cable. All right. All right. Let's go to the next David. Hey, David, you on recovery from Hurricane Ida? What do you have, brother?
I am a condo owner who's displaced. Insured through State Farm. After Hurricane Katrina, I moved to California for 2 years and rented out my condo. At that time, I had changed my homeowner's condo to a rental policy.
Okay.
The loss of rents and hired insurance coverage with liability, so on and so forth. When I came back from California 2 years later, I reoccupied the unit, called my State Farm agent, and said I want to change my policy back. At that time, State Farm was in the process of trying to get out of writing policies in Louisiana. I was advised by an agent that I should not change my policy because State Farm may drop my coverage. And I said, well, will I have the coverage if I have displacement costs, so on and so forth? And they said yes. Well, the adjuster from State Farm called me today and said, we reviewed your policy and you no longer have displacement costs because you had a renter's policy for loss of rents. And I said, so you mean to tell me I've been paying for a policy since 2008 that doesn't cover me?
Well, your time limitations expired. You're stuck with the policy. It's a short version. And look, a lot of people, including, sometimes I even do it, is I don't look at the policy until we have a storm in the Gulf. And then I'm like, oh, whoa, I thought I had this. I didn't have that. And, I think a lot of times we do that. And, if that was 16 years ago, 15 years, 14 years ago, and you got all these renewals, I think they would say, first of all, the time period for holding anybody else responsible is expired. And I said, after 14 years, you probably would say, not, the courts would look at it this way. I'm saying this with empathy that, hey, you had, 13 years to switch it back. And State Farm's not the only insurance company that writes insurance in Louisiana, and you could have shopped it around.
But I was advised by the insurance agent.
What I'm telling you is the bad advice that was given to you. Any claim against the person who gave that advice is expired. You'd had to do it within 1 to 3 years. For example, if a doctor leaves a sponge in your stomach and you don't find out about it till 3 years and 1 day after it happened, even though he did something wrong, it's too late. It's called prescription or expiration. Your time period to hold that person responsible has expired. So therefore, you're going to have to live with this policy. That's all I can tell you. All right. Thanks for the call. Who do we have next?
Wally.
All right, Wally. You're on the recovery show from Hurricane Ida. What do you have for us, Wally?
Dennis is next. Dennis?
Gotcha. Hey, Wally.
Yes, I have a question.
All right.
I have a property in Metairie and also a property in Grand Isle.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them insured. I filed insurance on both of them. I filed for FEMA on my property in Metairie. Mm-hmm. Do I need to also file a FEMA claim for my property in Grand Isle?
You can. I don't. Usually if it's insured, they've been kicking it back. But I say it's no harm in filing with FEMA and see what they respond. They're going to ask if you have insurance. And, you answer it honestly.
I have when I filed for my home for FEMA, I put that I had insurance, okay?
Yeah.
So if I file for Grand Isle, I have insurance also.
Well, I will say this with reasonable certainty that you will get your policy limits for Grand Isle. What's the policy limits for your policy in Grand Isle? For your structure?
The policy limit is $100,000 on the dwelling, and $25,000 on the contents.
All right. I will say with reasonable certainty, you should get that. Now, I will tell you this, that there's time limitations that the insurance company should pay you once they have the information. Now, sometimes these time periods are, or relaxed a little bit, or they understand it's a tragedy. But under the law, once they have all the information, they got 30 and 60 day, time periods to get you what's undisputed. And if they don't, we've had several Katrina cases where we got attorney's fees because they sat in their hands. In fact, one of the cases we had, it took them 10 months to pay a doctor his business interruption. And they said, it was, it was just, we were overwhelmed, and I said, well, son of a gun, they built the Superdome in 9 months. You should get this orthopedic his money within, the same time period. Don't tell me that. So that sort of resonated, and, they got penalties. So I guess what I'm saying is put them on notice that, whenever you can get the Grand Isle, which might not be for several weeks, that, it's a total loss. And tell them, I want my policy limits.
My place is not a total loss. It is salvageable. Okay.
Oh, it is. Okay.
I do have damage.
Okay. Okay. But I made an assumption because most of the structures are gone. So yeah. All right.
So you're telling me not to file with FEMA, or
you can? I'm not telling you not to, but don't be surprised if you get rejected. There's no harm in filing FEMA. I will tell you this generally, okay? I'm going to tell you this generally in FEMA's mindset. When they had Hurricane Katrina, the government knew it screwed up with the Army Corps. They knew we caused this mess, so we're just going to get money out to everyone. And then what happened was they had the Road Home program that went through GOSEP. A lot of people abused the program, which, a lot of people are getting sued right now, which we're dealing with. And then the government said, look, for these people who didn't use the money for their house, they took it and ran, didn't pay off their mortgage, kept the money, never repaired the house like the covenant said. You got to try to collect it back, or we're going to charge the state of Louisiana. So now that the levies are fixed, now that we probably have a disaster in New York also, and now that the government's 20 some odd million in debt, FEMA is not giving the benefits that it did in Katrina. They're now and more targeting the benefits. And one of the criteria they are using is whether you have homeowners insurance, because they're saying, we really don't need to pay you because you have homeowners insurance and you can collect from that. Maybe additional living expenses. Now, I don't, with the government, they started change the rules as we go along. So they may decide later that they're going to pay everybody $500. They may decide later that only people who are uninsured get paid. I don't know. So that's why I would say file the claim, but they may or may not accept it.
That's fine. I can do that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and file the claim, and whatever be, it will be.
That's right. All right.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You answered my question.
Mike is next. Mike.
All right. Let's go to the phone lines. Let's go to Mike. Hey, Mike. You're on the recovery from
Thomas.
Tom. We're going to Thomas?
Mike is on right now. Thomas is
okay.
after.
Thomas. Okay. Let's go to Mike. Here you go. What you got, Mike?
Good afternoon, gentlemen. I live in Harahan. Sunday night when the storm was coming through, I had a 10-foot diameter tree fell in my bedroom. I had by probably 10 o'clock that night, I had a claim number. I had talked to Allstate. They gave me a claim number. They said that someone would talk to me within the hour, or at least by the morning, and that they would list it as an emergency. We 6 days out, and I still don't have an.
Call them back. Call them back every.
Allstate. I've called. I do. I've called them every day since the day of the storm.
Call them 4 times a day.
Every day.
When you wake up, 11 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and 4 o'clock. Squeak. That's all I can tell you. Just bug the heck out of them. They might get an adjuster just to get rid of you. Okay. But I'd call every 2 or 3 hours. Be polite, be respectful, but that's the only way. Now, the other thing you can do is write a letter to them saying, you better got to come out here because I'm going to start tearing out. I'm going to start doing work. And if you want to see it before I do it, you better get out here. I mean, I would put a little more detail in the letter or email because I'm sure you got an email from the claims department, right? Or did you? Well, I don't know if you're still there, but I would explain to them that I've reported the claim, that I have, I've called several times, adjuster. They won't call back. I'm going to start doing some work. If you don't call back, you won't have a chance to inspect. And just let them know. And just, you're going to have to be the squeaky wheel. This is not for the faint of heart. And the people who have an inclination, who have single-minded and don't mind having, being a squeaky wheel, they're in their element. But people who aren't, it's tough and it's uncomfortable. But you have to go through this discomfort and do it. And if you keep calling, it's like Bum Phillips said, you keep knocking, you keep banging on the door, one day it's going to fall. So that's my only advice, because there's no other mechanism really to get these adjusters out there. But thanks for the call. Let's go to phone lines. Let's go to Thomas. What you got for us, Thomas?
Okay. My problem is, Mr. Sunseri, is the property right in back of me has several trees.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them fell on my house during Katrina and knocked the roof off.
Mm-hmm.
The house has been abandoned. In fact, it's an empty lot owned by the city. Mm-hmm. And the trees keep falling. They haven't felt my way. The 3 or 4 of them have fallen, but they haven't come my way.
Okay.
So I got 4 trees about 70 feet tall in that same yard. And every time I call the city, they say they're going to send someone out to take pictures, and they never have. Mm-hmm. So I'm afraid that one of those trees is going to fall again. And I mean, how do you make the city come and cut the trees down, because they own the property?
It's the city, but is it okay? Is any trees on your property now that fell?
Not so far, but they've been falling in the same yard.
Okay.
But, they just fall, but they haven't fell my way anymore. But they're so tall, they're 70 feet tall. There's 4 of them. I want the city to come cut them down, and they keep saying, we're not sure if the city cut trees down. I said, well, you own the property. You want me to cut them down?
Well, okay. Where are you? Where do you live?
I'm east of New Orleans.
That's a councilman issue. Who's your council person?
Miss Wendy.
Okay.
Wendy
Here's
Shen.
what you do. Squeaky wheel. Call her. Make friends with their staff, and make friends with their staff. Call, squeaky wheel. That's the only thing you can do. Persistence. I don't have a lot. They are, but they're not, you're going to have to make them aware of the problem. I know they're responsible for it, but you're going to have to use all your effort and all your energy to make them responsible for it. Write them emails. It's just that's the only advice I have for you. At some point, they're gonna deal with you because they want you to stop calling their office.
Because I keep telling them that these trees are dangerous.
I understand.
On my house before.
You get Miss. I think it's Miss Wynn, right? And then you get one of her staff people. You make friends with her, and you call them every day, twice a day.
Mm-hmm.
Be polite, be respectful, but be in a way that you can get your issue on the forefront. Okay?
Uh-huh. Okay. I'm going to do that. Thank you.
Quick interlude. Oklahoma's beating Tulane 40-35. They have the ball with 1 minute and 50 seconds left. It looks like they're going to run out the clock, but Tulane almost pulled an upset. So that's just a quick diversion. Okay, who do we have next?
Cindy.
Cindy, what do you have for us?
Yes, sir. Let me get off the speakerphone. So my husband, his mother has a home in Metairie, and she died back in March.
Okay.
And the sibling just let us know that there was no insurance policy on the house. Like the mother let the homeowner's insurance lapse.
Okay.
So a neighbor just called after the hurricane and said a massive tree, which there was, a massive tree fell on the house, damaging the roof, spilling over into the neighbor's yard, over the fence. It was a very big tree. And so we just passed by and confirmed that.
Okay.
So we're just wondering what has to be done since there's no insurance on this home that is empty in the metro area. And
Well,
where do we go from here?
if your neighbor has insurance, you'll be okay. Okay, for the damage on their house, because their homeowner's insurance will cover that. Now, the homeowners theoretically has a subrogation right against. Well, they probably don't, because if the tree wasn't diseased and it wasn't not maintained, there's probably no claim. So I would say that their own insurance, if they have insurance, is not a problem, and I wouldn't give it a second thought. Your issue would be how to sell a hurricane damaged property that's in a succession. And my suggestion would be sell it as is and just split it up. Get an executor appointed, open your succession, and sell it as is. Don't do anything to it except, clean it up, get rid of some of the debris, and somebody will buy it, knock it down, and, probably build a new structure. All right?
Okay, that's very good advice. All right.
Okay, thank you for
Okay, so session has to be open first.
Succession has to be first. It would be preferable if the heirs could agree to appoint an independent administrator. I'm assuming your mother didn't have a will. If she didn't, I would get the heirs to agree to an independent administrator, because if you do that, you won't need court approval to do the liquidation activities of the estate. That person would have all the authority your mother would have. Otherwise, to do routine transactions, if you don't have an independent administrator and you just have an executor or administrator or administratrix, you need court approval to do certain type of liquidation activities. They're routine, but you're going to be paying attorneys a lot more money. So see if you could get your siblings to agree to something called an independent administration. And they would be the quarterback. They would be Jameis Winston, okay? And they're going to make the call. They would have the authority to sell the property without court approval, and they would have the authority to sign the marketing agreements. They would have authority to sign the act of sales, and without going to court, and you could get it done quickly. Because a lot of times when we have a sale in a property that doesn't have independent administration, we have to do newspaper advertisements, and it takes about 60 days. It costs $200, $300 for the advertisement, maybe cost some money for the attorney's fees and court costs. So so that's what I would do. All right.
Very good advice. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you. Who do we have next?
Missy,
you're on the Hurricane Ida Recovery Show.
Yes, hi. Yeah, I was calling to have a question to find out. On my home for Hurricane Ida, I have a shingle roof with asbestos.
All right.
And a lot of the shingles are missing off my roof.
Okay,
so
well,
I had some guys pass by, and they told me that I had to move out of my home because I have a asbestos roof, and if it's been disturbed, it can cause detrimental, damage to my health.
I don't know. I mean, if you got asbestos, I'd be very careful handling any asbestos shingles that blew off your roof. But there's an abatement process that a caller gave us before. It was very kind to do that. Is they're going to test those shingles. And if they have asbestos, they're going to deal with it one way. If it doesn't, they'll deal with it another way. Now, the problem is at this point is finding a roofer who has the qualifications to do asbestos abatement. So when you call around, find out, say, look, I got this asbestos roof. Do you have the qualifications to do asbestos abatement? Meaning when I take it off, you test it and figure out what protocol you need to use in order to remove it. Okay?
Okay. All right.
All right.
So one more question. I have all the shingles already on the ground, so don't pick them up and throw them in the garbage?
I wouldn't do that. I mean, I would put it something. I don't want to tell you to get near them. I really don't.
Oh.
Okay. I mean, I would stay away from them until somebody, and I wouldn't let anybody else get near them too.
Okay.
Okay. Just make sure they stay away. I don't know. Put some crime tape up or something and say, stay out.
Okay.
Keep your dogs away from it.
Safe for me to stay in the home?
Roy is next. Roy.
What's that?
Is it safe to stay inside of my
Yeah,
home?
I think it is. I think you're okay to stay in the home. That's no problem.
Even though the roof is leaking.
Ooh, roof's leaking?
I'm saying. Yeah.
All right. I'm going to give you his name because I'm not going to answer this, but his name is Driscoll. And I'm getting it out my, I'm going to get it out my Rolodex if I can find it.
Okay.
Driscoll, shoot. I tell you what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you my cell phone number, 504-957-5734. I'm going to give you
I'll give it to her off the air.
Okay. 5734. And I'll get you someone who could take a look at that. Okay, let's go to who we got next?
Roy.
What do you have for us?
Okay, I have AT&T Verse. I just called them and told them I haven't had service since Sunday, and they told me, well, when I get my service back, to call them back. They're working on some kind of adjustment for you. I just wanted to get that out.
There you go. That's good advice. Just call them up, and if they charge you, call them up saying hurricane damage. Give me an adjustment. Very good advice.
Well, they said working on a policy, so I just wanted to get to ask people that have AT&T Verse.
Okay.
All right, thanks a lot.
Thanks much. All right, Tulane just lost to Oklahoma, 40-35. It was a very close game. All right, who we have next? Valerie, you're on for the Hurricane Ida Recovery Show.
And then Mike.
Hi, Doug. I just wanted to respond to a previous caller's or give information about a previous caller's question. I have Allstate as well, and last year they dropped wind and hail, and they kicked it over to Louisiana citizens.
Yes.
So I think she might be in that case.
Right. Yeah. So if you just have hurricane with Allstate, and you might have wind and hail with Louisiana citizens, is that correct?
Right.
Right. Okay.
And that's my case. I know they don't do wind and hail anymore. For my own situation, I have half of my shingles that flew away, but I don't have plywood decking underneath it. Is that going to be an issue?
It could be saying that there's some type of defect in the build of the roof, and we're not responsible for damage for that. But I think your position would be, regardless, what part of town were you in, or what part of Southeast Louisiana?
I'm in New Orleans.
New Orleans? I mean, depending on how your house is situated, I think your position is going to be, whether I had plywood decking or not, I would have still had the same result. I mean, that's your best argument. They may not say anything. I mean, they may not make it an issue. So I would get the adjustment and see how they respond. Now, if they respond, with one of the exclusions, then I think what you'd have to do is probably get a lawyer and try to figure out how to get around those exclusions.
Okay.
And the first argument is, hey, you insured it this way. You could have got up there and figured it out yourself. You decided not to.
Right.
So, so I'd file the claim and let them do their song and dance up there and see how they respond. If they respond favorably, it's not a problem. If they respond unfavorably, then you may have to get an attorney, get a copy of the policy, and let them review it to see if there's some provision that would foothold you back into some type of recovery. All right.
Okay. And I had the roof tarped.
Yes, ma'am.
Quickly to prevent water intrusion, and then my adjuster is asking me to remove it. Is that reasonable?
Why? Why is he asking?
He wants to see the damage.
Well, he can remove it, but put it back. Tell them, yeah, you can go up there, you remove it, but put it back like it was.
Okay.
All
So
right.
that I can just
Yeah,
demand
tell
that.
them, yeah. Just tell them, yeah, you can remove it, but if you get up there and, put it back.
Okay.
If you don't want to put it back, then
And-
you can't remove it. Because if I remove it and it starts raining, and then I got more damage, which you probably won't cover. So, no.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty unreasonable. And then
Mhm.
one last question would be the insulation that got wet as a result of the water coming in. Is that something that can be replaced by the insurance?
Yes.
Or-
Wet insulation's out. If it's wet, it's got to get out. That's the rule of thumb. If it's wet, it's out.
But
That's
I
simple.
shouldn't take it out until the adjustments, right?
Well, it depends when they do the adjustments. I mean, if they're going to be, 10 weeks, I'd write them a letter after a week or two and say, look, I'm going to start getting work. I'm going to start getting after it on my repairs. I'm not waiting on you. So if you want to come out here and look at it before I do the repairs, I'm going to start on this date and just take a lot of film, take a lot of, take a lot of video, take video of the repairs. Take as many pictures as you can. When you pull out that wet insulation and throw it on the front lawn, you take pictures of that. So, you got to balance between giving the insurance company sufficient time to look at the damage versus you having to, get wet walls, get wet dry walls, wet ceilings, wet insulation out your house so it doesn't cause more damage with moisture intrusion. So you got to balance that. But if you're not getting a response from them, document that they haven't been out, document that you got to start the repairs. You got to document the fact in the letter saying, if I don't start the repairs, there's going to be more damage because of the water intrusion and the spreading of the, of the moisture that's, already there. And that we're going to start. And if your guy wants to come out and look at it before we start repairing it, this is the date we're starting. Please have them come out.
Okay. And final question, if I may. So there's the roof damage that came from the wind. Then there was water pooling up on the front porch and coming through the door. And I'm not clear if it's still considered wind-driven rain.
That's wind-driven.
Here's
the easy. If it comes from top to bottom, it's wind-driven rain. If it comes from bottom to top, it's flood. Simple formula. If it comes from the bottom to the top, it's flood. If it comes from top down, it's wind. So if it originated from up top and it pooled, it's wind. If it comes from the bottom up, and then it's flood.
Even if it was wind-driven rain.
Wind-driven rain comes from up top. Up, it goes from down, up, down. Flood comes from down up.
Okay.
All right.
So damage to windows and doors.
Unless right. If the damage came from wind-driven rain, from up down, it's wind-driven rain.
Okay.
All right.
So still under wind.
Yes, under your homeowner's policy. Oh. Thanks for the call. Let's go to Mike. We only got a minute or two left. Mike, what'd you have for us?
Hey, how y'all doing?
Good.
All right. I just wanted to kind of put this out there. I'm in Raceland. I'm not currently in Raceland. I live in Raceland.
Mm-hmm.
We have no cell service at all in there. And that's not just AT&T. I'm talking Verizon, T-Mobile, a few others. So every day I'm having to drive either to Thibodeau, Houma, Des Allemands, or LaRose, all in different directions, about 30 minutes away, to make comms with anybody that I know, family members, whatever. And I was just wondering if y'all heard anything on why or when that will be worked out.
I don't know. Is anybody in news in control central? Y'all heard anything on that?
Sorry, I'm on the phone. I didn't hear.
Okay, no. Verizon service in the Raceland area. Have we heard anything as to status on that?
No, not to my knowledge.
Okay.
I have AT&T personally.
Or AT&T. Okay. No knowledge on that. No update on it.
It says no service on my phone when I'm in, and then when I hit the Thibodeau, it pops right back up.
Okay. Sorry. Can't help you there, but thanks for the call. Okay, we're going to be back tomorrow from 12 to 3 on Sunday. We're going to do the same format. We're going to have a roofing expert. We're going to have another claims adjuster who work for insurance companies to help you out. So we'll see you tomorrow at noon. And stay tuned for Christian, Bobby, and Herb Tyler. Man, this is a great distraction. So Tigers, 37-24. Go Tigers. Okay, we'll see you tomorrow. And thank y'all for all the help y'all had today. And thank you to WWL for this opportunity to help you guys out. So we'll see you tomorrow at noon. And the Tigers are going to win 37-24.
That's very specific.
Hey, man, you got to be positive.
All right, great job, Doug. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right, thank y'all, guys. Thanks for your help. Y'all did a great job. Help me out.
You too, bud.
Look at that.
On 870 AM WWL New Orleans, 105.3 WWL FM and HD1 Ken.